What's happening, guys? I don't know who's gonna jump on here. It's kind of late. Um, I was bored. I was out in the garage, and I need to install the intake manifold and the carburetor that I got for the van on the van. And I got out there, and I was like, "All right, drain some coolant." And to be honest with you, I got lazy. I was like, "I don't feel like doing that right now," because I hate getting involved in a project and not seeing it through to the end. And I was like, "Okay." Drain the coolant, pop off the alternator. And I think that's pretty much all I really need to do aside from all the lines that are hooked up to the intake manifold. So I thought, man, maybe I could do it and then get the intake manifold on there and stuff. And I thought, God, by the time I got that far, I just didn't see myself actually finishing it tonight. So I was like, and I was like, I really don't want to go to sleep either. So I guess go hang out in the studio and see if anybody wants to talk Mopars. I'm going to post a link in the chat. What's up, Paul? What's up, Pat? What's up, Joe? What's up, Trevor? So if anybody wants to join me on screen, there's the link in the chat. I really have no agenda tonight. I thought maybe I'd take a look at some Mopars, so I queued up the entire country to see what we could find. What's up, Ruben? And I'm just hanging out. This really isn't a podcast episode. This is just a Saturday Night Live open house type thing. Um, so if anybody wants to jump on, feel free. But other than that, I think what I'm going to do is jump into these Craigslist ads just because it's been a while since I did any hunting. Now, for those of you guys that have been following what I've been up to lately, I was actually in Georgia for the Mopars 5150 muscle car sell off, and I really haven't had a chance to record a show or talk about it. I thought maybe the videos I was doing out there would suffice for a podcast, but I decided not to do anything with that because I have to rip all the audio off the video and stuff, and it's just a pain. So maybe I'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah, Ruben, congratulations. Ruben had his 69 Roadrunner at a show and won like best Mopar. So that's bragging rights right there, dude. Let's see here. Pull up local Craigslist ads. See what we can find. See if I can share my screen here. Yeah, Trevor, jump on if you want, man. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this. You might see me bounce out real quick. I don't know. Just depends on how I feel. But I'm a little bored. I got a little whiskey over here. I might tap into that a little bit. Let's see if I can open this guy right here. For some reason, my computer's running slow tonight. There we go. All right. We are in the Pacific Northwest. And right away, I see a sublime green Charger. Let's take a look at this thing. 73 Charger SE in Portland. Wow. Great car, runs and drives, but needs more work to be roadworthy. No shit. This is kind of a cool little hot rod. 8,500 though. I think the guy's smoking a little something. It's got the rally gauges. Let's take a closer look at this thing. Looks pretty solid. Some shackles in the back. Craigers. You can always win with Craigers. Got a nice stance. Got black flames. That's funny. And it looks like it's got a fence leaning on it. Yeah, hey, dude. Maybe take the fence off the fucking car before you try selling it. Jesus. Oh, man. Yeah, it looks like the floor's a little rotted. Not that big of a deal if you're looking for a cheap hot rod, but this thing's not necessarily cheap. Column shift. It's got the bench buckets, or like the high backs with the drop down center armrest or whatever. That's kind of cool. Yeah, thing needs love. I like the wheels and tires. 8,500 though. He's got a new carpet kit, new headliner, new bumpers. Needs roof skin and some rust in driver pan only. He has a roof skin. He has bucket seats and a console from a correct satellite car and dash and many other parts that come with it. 440, 727 car. Looks like they were just rebuilt. Looks like they were just rebuilt. 8,500. Serious inquiries, please. Title status is clean. Paul got himself a new laptop today. Yeah, man, get set up and join me in the chat, dude. That'd be fun. Pat Barrett Jackson prices. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Here we go. What we got here? An old stretched out A100, so A108. Looks good on those wheels. But these windows, man, what is this? A single wide? Oh man. Sometimes I get a kick out of just looking at these ads and seeing the craziness. Yeah, this thing could be a fun little hot rod, I guess. I like how it's got wheel locks on it. Ooh, are those the Kreger versions? Those are kind of cool. 3450. See what the inside looks like. Eh, it's got some rust, that's for sure. Roof's a little rusty. No worse than my van. I really should be out there not being a lazy ass. I really should be working on my van right now. What the hell am I doing? Okay. 67 A108 3450 or best offer. Hasn't been started in a few years. Transmission rebuilt right before it was put in storage. Ran when parked. Ran when fucking parked. Of course. This is also Saturday night uncensored, folks. And being that's the case, I'm just going to take a swig off my old Buffalo Trace here. Ah. And because I'm a pussy, I'm going to chase it. Ran when parked. Brakes needed work. Okay. Might just need a new battery / a day of TLC. But would need to be towed away, of course. We'd gotten it with hopes of reviving it, but too many projects and can't be a good steward to them all. Rehoming this one. What that means is that's the biggest piece of shit he owns. He doesn't want to put the time into it. He has the title, brand new transmission paperwork. Looks like the warranty is no longer valid. Was just 1 year. Yeah, 12 years ago. But the info for the repairs is all there. Trailer for sale as well, but the title for trailer, blah, blah, blah. Things we know. Straight body and looks like a scrape at some point on the driver's side door. Well, then it's not fucking straight, is it, dude? What the fuck? Rust, bad brakes, seats need to be redone. Needs a battery close to the A100. This is the A108, which has a longer body and side doors on the passenger side. It's got a 318 727 with an electric start. Kreger rims, but have another set of rims as well. Used to be a DIY camper version of this, but the previous owners removed that. Okay. Extra tires and wheels. We bought it, repaired the transmission for $1,000, replaced the roof vent, got tags, and it's been in that state for 5 years in storage. That's what you get when you go to Oregon to buy cars. Let's keep looking. Paul says I have to do a bit more hunting, but may have found a 66 Charger the other day. Looks like he has a few others also. Is that the one on Craigslist for 2,500? Let's see if I can find. Ooh, what do we have here? My God. 76 Tradesman 200 Shorty van, $9,500, but it's black and it looks clean as hell. Holy shit. Let's take a look at this thing. It's got a little patina on the roof. Wow, this thing is straight. If that's the original paint, I'd be really surprised. It's got, look at these old inky wheels. Definitely needs some Kragers and some 295/50s in the back. It looks pretty solid. Holy shit. Missing the D. Dode. You'll get the D later. Straight front bumper. Shit. The grill looks immaculate. Ooh. So these turn signal lights in the grill here. Those lenses are super hard to find in good condition. I slipped and on eBay, God, it's been months now, but somebody had an NOS set, but it was like $250, but it was the whole assembly for the turn signal with the brand new lenses. And I was being a cheap ass. I should have bought them because they're so hard to find. And all my sets are, I have one set that's really nice looking from afar, but you can see the cracks and it annoys the shit out of me. So the solution for me would be to get a giant phantom grill for it, but that's like $700. Okay, yeah, there you can see the patina a little bit more on the roof. That's kind of cool though. Damn, this van looks pretty solid. It looks like the door's a little fucked up though. That's okay. Yeah, this thing needs better wheels and a little bit of a rake on it. Yeah, there's something going on with this door here. Maybe they just don't have it shut all the way. I don't know. But the rot on this thing, from what I see here, is non-existent. But for 10 grand, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a closer shot. The rear looks good. Dent right there in the rear door, no big deal. Yeah, there's something going on with this door here. Yeah, I question whether or not this is original paint. I highly doubt it. It'd be cool if it was. The thing is really straight. It's got a dent in the rear bumper, no big deal. Yeah, even the driver's side looks really straight. Wow, 10 grand, huh? Oh, he's got a broken. See these little reflector lamps back here, these little side markers or whatever you want to call them. Those are easier to find than the front um, turn signals in the grill. Yeah, this thing needs some nice wheels. I like how it's slammed in the front. I don't know if that's just the wheels and tires he's got on it. I like the way this thing sits. Just needs better wheels. Thing is clean. Look at that steering wheel. The old chain gang. The seats are amazing in it. The floor is clean as hell. Of course, you got to have the barefoot pedal in it. Door panels look solid. I like the roof. I like what he's got going on in there. Wow, this thing is pretty clean. Holy shit. Needs a radio, no big deal. An AC van? Holy shit. What did I stumble across here, folks? Okay, so I see what he's doing here with some of the metal and shit. So the interior of the van is actually, I mean, I've seen a hell of a lot worse. I mean, you just saw that A108, right? This thing, I mean, I this carpet might be salvageable. But yeah, there's some shit on the roof I would change, but that I don't know, that's kind of cool, but for me, I need a sunroof up there and like a little console or whatever you'd like to call it for like the overhead with the CB radio. Man, what else does it say about this thing? I like this van. Automatic 318. Damn. That'd be it's a yeah, it's a tradesman. It's a B200, so it would be cool if it had a big block or at least a 360 in it. Power steering, brakes, great shorty, runs good. Come see, $9,500. Not enough information. Odometer 71,000 miles. It's at a dealership. You know what, Rick's? I think these are the same guys. So a while back, it must have been last year or the year before, they had a really clean. What year was it? I think it was 80s, but it was a Ram Charger and it was two-wheel drive, lowered. It was brown, but it sat really nice. And they wanted like 6 grand for it. It was a great deal. They want 10 grand for this thing, which is, it says something about how clean it really must be in person, just based on the pictures. I mean, I'd be interested. I hate those mirrors. I really, on these vans, I really like the street van mirrors, the small ones, although you can't see shit out of them. But that's a really clean van. I like that. Wow. Jump back in the chat here really quick. Show me the 65 Coronet post cars. Where'd you see those? Is this on this page? Let's take a little closer look. There, Trevor. Joe, I was seeing all those Mopars. If you're talking about the Mopars 5150 sell off, I've been seeing a lot of people call it an auction. It really wasn't an auction. It was a come out and everything had a price on it. And if you wanted to make a lower offer, you could. If 5 people wanted to buy the same rig, I'm sure they would accept the highest offer. I really don't consider that an auction, but it was really amazing seeing all those cars, especially it's not like it was a bunch of Belvideres and satellites and stuff like that. They had, Challenger RTs, Cudas, Barracudas too, Road Runners, Super Bs, GTXs. They had a great array of projects. Now, I'm a dreamer. It's no secret there. Every time I look at those cars, I see the possibilities of what they could be, not necessarily, the shit boxes that they are. But I thought there were some really good candidates for restoration. Of course, you can get into the argument of how much it would cost to restore some of those cars, obviously. But for me, half the fun is doing the work, I guess, and I think too many people get hung up on, oh, I would have 70 grand in that car and it'd only be worth 30. Are you planning on selling it, or are you going to wait 30 years when it is worth 70,000? So it's like, I don't know, that kind of stuff really doesn't bother me when I look at project cars like that, where I look at we'll say five or $7,000. We'll call I say shit box with love. Okay. So you're looking at a five or $7,000 e-body shit box, and you're like, okay, it needs everything. But there was a 71 RT there, plum crazy purple car, 4-speed, man, and it was hacked. The whole front of it was hacked off. Um, but I believe it had the VIN. It definitely had the VIN, and I believe it had a fender tag too. So with a car like that, it's like, you're spending 5 or 7 grand or whatever, and it needs everything. But it's like, is that a car that's worth bringing back from the dead? I think so. But there's a lot of people that don't. And like I said, I'm a dreamer, so of course I would say yes. You know what I mean? Um, but it was definitely amazing seeing all those cars. I've never seen that many project cars in one place of that caliber. And I don't mean condition, I just mean the type of cars. They had an AA Barracuda, a 68 and a 69 Coronet RT, which I fell in love with both of those. Really cool cars. I also like the Rum Runner, the 67 Coronet drag car. That was really cool. But like I said, when I see those cars, I see what they could. Oh, they had a 70 Barracuda. Check this out. So 70 Barracuda, slant six car. But it was uh, s- uh, Panther Pink, or Moulin Rouge, because it's Plymouth. FM3, white bucket seat interior, and it had the CUDA hood with hood pins. And apparently, those were the options that were ordered with that car, which is really crazy. It also had fixed rear windows, so the quarter glass, or whatever you want to call it, in the back didn't roll down. I think the code is like A93 or something like that. But super rare combination of options on that car, especially being a slant six car. Very cool. That one was like 20 grand, but I kept saying, that's the type of car. If you wanted to get if you wanted to put money into a car and get some recognition for it, like get on a magazine cover or something, that's the type of car you restore. Even though it's a slant six Barracuda, still has such a unique blend of options that it would probably be pretty easy if you did a full blown restoration on it to get on a magazine, which would be really cool. But yeah, seeing all those cars, and then what they had inside, they had a bunch of they weren't necessarily, I wouldn't call them bodies in white, but they had a lot of cars that had a lot of metal work already done. A lot of them had uh, the chassis stiffening components from USCT, which is US Car Tool. They make some really cool stuff. But yeah, and then, of course, my dream car was in there, which was a 70 Superbird Vitamin C orange Hemi car. Goddamn, that thing. Whew, I was too chicken to get close to. I mean, I got close to it. I got right up to it, but I was like, I don't want to touch it. It's one of those things. I should have not been a pussy, but because those guys are awesome. I mean, Nico was there, and he's like, let's go for a ride and something. I'm like, fuck, okay. So we were looking at the cars that were drivable that we could take for a spin, and we ended up taking out Reggie, the 72 Roadrunner, blue Roadrunner, 400 big block. Runs great. And we leave the property, and we get into, and we're in Cleveland, Georgia. And of course he gets right on it, and I'm looking around, I see two cops, and I'm like, oh shit. Right. And in Washington, you do some stunts like that, and a cop's gonna go, oh really? He's gonna pull your ass over. We didn't get pulled over. They didn't even look twice. I was like, shit, this is great. And then I actually went live during that ride, and then my live cut out, so I ended up just doing a video of it. But a really fun ride. But man, bunch of cool cars. They had a couple mod tops in there, of course. The 70 CUDA mod top that they had, it was originally a B5 blue car. So it had the blue mod top on it, blue interior, blue car, but it was painted red, and it was it looked like a drag car type build. So that was a little disappointing that whoever had it, originally never left the mod top intact and all that stuff. But 70 Coronet RT, plum crazy purple with white interior, console shift car. That was beautiful. 70 Charger RT 446 pack car, fully restored. That one was 145 grand. Nico was trying to take that for a spin. I was like, all right, let's go. Pistol grip 4-speed in it. Beautiful car. There's a 68 Charger in there. There's another 70 a black 70 Charger with a 446 pack in it. Another beautiful car. I think that one was like 89,000, almost 90. Uh, but they had so much stuff to choose from. I thought there was a lot of viable projects for reasonable prices. I know a lot of people saw the prices and they lost their minds, like, "Oh, it's too much money." Well, yeah, go find another Charger. You know what I mean? That's the market right now. Um, Now, granted, some of those cars, I mean, there was a few cars there like the Chargers, or not the Chargers, the Coronets, the two RTs, the 68 and the 69. Both of them were under $15,000, and I was like, to me, it seemed like a good buy. Um, I believe both of the motors were seized, but they can be rebuilt, of course. But the 69 was a Dana 60 car, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, 4-speed. Um, and they both had some rot, you know, which was to be expected. But less than 15 grand, you're getting a real RT car. If you're going to put some time into it and some money, and that's something you want, I really didn't see a problem with the prices. Now, if they were 5 grand, I don't think they'd be there right now. I think they would have been sold. But and I keep getting asked how many cars were sold. Um, a minimum of 10 were sold. I know it's more than that, but I don't know how much they want me to say about who bought them. But I think it was posted on social media, so I think it's okay for me to say that Speedcore um bought, like, I know they bought a 70 Roadrunner and a couple Cudas, I thought, but I think they ended up buying 4 cars. So they spent quite a bit of money, and those cars are going to be fully resto modded, and you know how Speedcore does it. Um, and then some guy, some lunatic, came all the way out after having stopped in Texas and buying a brand new Mercedes Sprinter van, comes out to Cleveland, Georgia, and rents a U-Haul trailer and buys one of the project Chargers, and he's hauling it back to Washington State, which I thought was insane. But not the fact that he bought the car, but the fact that he went to Texas, bought a brand new, God knows how much that Sprinter van cost. Had it been like well over 50,000, I'd imagine. And then drives out to Cleveland, Georgia, buys a project Charger. So the guy's clearly got some money. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, it was really cool seeing all those cars. And for somebody like me, I was just like, man. They had a 71 Demon 340 car, 4-speed, B5 blue. Um, that was one of the cheaper ones. So there was that for 4850. I think that was the price on that one. And then a 69 Roadrunner for 2500. That I said, if this video gets a million views, I'll buy the car for 3 grand and start a YouTube video series on it. But that video ain't getting a million views. So I guess I won't be buying that one. But really cool to see all those cars. And the thing that cracked me up the most is the guys from 5150 are awesome. And I was talking to Troy, the owner, and he's like, "Yeah, this is really nothing compared to what I got back in California." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what everybody keeps saying." Even people that aren't with Mopars 5150 keeps telling me, "Oh man, you should see what he's got in California." I'm like, "Okay." Um, but yeah, I really would like to go out and go on some of their adventures with them. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So we're gonna have to set something up with that. But yeah, really cool seeing all those cars, man. I just couldn't help but look at them all and like imagine, like in my head, I'd see the row of projects, and then I'd have like this vision of them, how they were originally, and it would have been an epic lot of cars. Not that it wasn't, but especially for me because I love project cars. I love shit boxes. So I'm looking around. I'm just like I'm in heaven. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Trevor says it's the curse of being a Mopar guy. You pay more than everyone else. Yeah, ain't that the truth, man? It's really It's really crazy right now because from what I understand, there's a shortage on metal. Like people building these chargers can't get quarter panels and stuff from AMD, which is funny because at the Mopars 5150 sell off, they had quarter panels they were selling from AMD, brand new. Paul referring to the 66 Charger, he says it's up for me in Mount Vernon. I thought I saw a Charger for sale somewhere near me on Craigslist for like 2,500 bucks. Yeah, shag carpet in that van, dude. Bourbon by straight shag mobile. AKA the Love Machine. You damn right, Irvin. I wonder how many babies were made in that van. Pat says what I liked about those cars, nothing was hidden. It was all you received by no surprise. Yeah. Um, yeah. If you wanted to get on the ground in the mud, you could definitely look underneath the cars. Um, Looking back, I wish I had gotten underneath a couple of the ones on the front row, like the RT Coronets. Um, they appeared like, of course, they needed some metal work. I didn't get a chance to look at the frame rails, and that was my mistake. My idea going there was to basically get as much surface footage as I could around the cars. And like anything else, my buddy Blake warned me. He goes, "You're going to get there. You're going to get a little emotional looking at all these cars. Make sure that you stay focused and get really good footage." And my biggest regret is I ran out of time on Friday because I had to get back to Atlanta, which is like, I think 75 or 90 miles away from where we were at in Cleveland. And it was Friday. So I'm like, God. And I know they were shutting down the sale at like 3 o'clock. And I was looking at the time, and the time just flew by. So I didn't get a chance to get underneath some of the cars that I wanted to take a closer look at. I was hoping that anybody that was seriously interested would say something while I was on the live stream, maybe in the chat, but nobody really said anything. So I just got the footage that I thought I needed. And then when I saw the time, I was like, I just don't have enough time. So, and I got stuck in like 2 hours of Atlanta traffic, which sucked. But it was fun. So I rented that 2018 Charger RT, which was a lot of fun. Last year I had tried to buy a Scat Pack, a couple of them actually, and I just couldn't make the deal work. And I had a lot of fun in the Scat Packs. And driving the RT, I thought maybe, it'd be, you know, I don't know, disappointing, I guess. But I was not disappointed at all. That RT was a lot of fun. Great cruiser car. On the way back to Atlanta, the speed limit out there is like 70, and I'm going 80, and people are flying past me. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll keep up with traffic. I'm going 90 miles an hour. And of course, I'm not familiar with the area. So I'm like, I don't know where the cops hide and shit. But everybody else is going fast. So I guess I'll go fast too. But the car did great. Even at 90 to 100 miles an hour, those cars are just floating. They're great cars to drive. Um, but I was pretty impressed with that compared to like my 2018 Durango RT. It's night and day difference just because the all-wheel drive takes a little bit of the fun out of it. You know what I mean? But very easily to get that car sideways. I had one opportunity just outside of Atlanta where I had to go get fuel because I'm sitting in traffic and then the fuel light comes on and I'm like, shit. So I creep it off the next exit and go to the gas station. And I need to flip back around. And you don't get these too common around here, but it had one of the stoplights where you can take the U-turn left. So I was like, all right, cool. So there's like, only a few people around. I didn't see any cops. So I just hammered it with the traction control and stuff off in sport mode. And it got sideways. So that was a lot of fun. When I go to muscle cars at the strip, I actually rented a wide body Scat Pack. So that's going to be a lot of fun because they're doing like a rally cruise up into the mountains on Saturday. So I registered for that. So Johnny Mopar and I are going to run up into the mountains with that Scat Pack. Hopefully have some fun. But yeah, it was a good time. Like I said before, if anybody wants to jump in the chat, I think I posted the link somewhere up there. Yeah, the link is up in the chat. So if you want to jump on, feel free. But let's continue cruising Craigslist a little bit here. If you guys didn't get a chance to check out the live I did earlier today with the guys from the Dodge Pod, that was a fun one. This is a nice W150. Side pipes on it. That's kind of cool. With the deep dish slotted mags. Wow, this is actually 12.5. This thing is solid. It's a Yakima truck too, so you can see the roof is a little bit sun beaten, but that's typical for Eastern Washington. It's not like Seattle that gets a lot of rain. This truck is badass. Oh, it's got the Buddy buckets in it. This thing is sweet. Holy shit. Dash is clean. Wow. Original steering wheel. Wow. All the wiring appears to be original for the most part, from what I can see. That's kind of rare on these things. Headers on it. Man, those seats are in great condition. I would love to get those for the Mr. Norm truck. I actually want this whole interior for the Mr. Norm truck. This is clean. Not that the Mr. Norm truck isn't clean, but it was originally a green interior, so it was spray painted black, and the black's starting to come off, and it just looks like shit. So I got to fix that. But I actually like the way the side pipes look on this thing. Normally, if someone said, "I'll put side pipes on a truck," I'd be like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" But this looks pretty good. Yeah, wow, great patina on this thing. My guess is these are factory stripes. Dodge offered a lot of weird factory um stuff in the 70s for these trucks, so it wouldn't surprise me if these are factory stripes. I could be wrong too. Very nice truck. 12.5. Want to relive the 80s? Well, here's your chance. Rust-free, low mileage 79 Dodge W150 4x4 short box has been hiding in a barn since 1986. No cracks in the dash, no rust in the box. Good running 360, fun little truck. Who do we got? We got Johnny Mopar in the house. Bring him on. Johnny Mopar, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I'm over here waiting for you to send a message.
Oh,
I didn't realize you were already on.
My bad, dude. My bad.
It's all good. Cool. What do you got?
Bored on a Saturday night. Man, look at this short box, dude. This thing is clean.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. How much is it?
It's 12.5. So it's less than I paid for the Mr. Norm truck. And it's got the original carpet in it. Holy shit. This thing, it's got the buddy buckets. Yeah. I was just going over this thing. It's pretty clean for a tin grill, you know. It's Eastern Washington truck. So it's in the drier climate. And it looks, fairly original.
Yeah, it looks nice. Damn, it looks really clean, actually.
Look at the interior of that thing.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's a 4x.
Yeah. Solid. Just a little bit of patina on the roof and hood. I like it. I think that's a
box.
For a tin grill guy, that's a good one. And you just can't find them that are, clean and rust free like that.
I know. Just a few years ago, we would have said, that guy's on crack asking that kind of money, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, you could kind of justify it. Jump in and go.
Yeah, that thing's pretty clean. So what's up, man? What's new?
Not much. We went to the zoo today, so I was pretty wiped out. Walking around, took my son to the zoo. I listened to your podcast with the was it Dodge Pod?
The Dodge Pod guys, yeah,
the Dodge Pod guys. So I've got this is something that was bothering me, and so I was even thinking I should just make my own video on this. But since I'm here and I've got Chris Albrook and you seem to be in the know, why not just ask it here? What the F is a first gen and a second gen? So before you answer, right, I think of, anything pre-swept line is kind of like out of scope. So to me, a swept line is first gen, a tin grill second gen, but then you can argue the swept lines kind of have their own name. They don't need to be called the first gen. So we'll just call those swept lines. So then you go, well, the tin grills are first gens, and then the plastic grills are second gens, and then the third gens are the the diesel looking trucks, right, from the 90s.
Sure.
And then you go on from there, like fourth gen, fifth gen, sixth gen. But I know that's not true because the way you guys are talking, it sounds like you're talking the plastic grills are first gens.
Yeah.
But the plastic grills, they look like a spin-off of a tin grill. So it doesn't make sense because a tin grill should be a first gen and the plastic grill should be a second gen. And then you should start all over when you get to the diesel looking trucks, right?
I was a little confused in the beginning at first, but the way I understand it to be is they're referring to the first gen Rams. Now, what's funny about that is I've seen tin grills with, I think it's stamped in the tailgate Dodge Ram. You know what I mean? So it was like ahead of the time. God, I wish I could find one really quick, but I'm pretty sure I've seen a tailgate in the tin grill generation that said Dodge Ram, but it was like back then you called them D100s, solely D100s. You had the Prospectors, whatever, the Adventures, but they didn't refer to them as Dodge Rams. But in 81 is when they released them as Dodge Rams, and you still had the DWs, and it got the hood ornament. Yeah.
Okay.
So when they say first gen, they're talking first gen Rams. Second gen Rams So it does get confusing. I totally understand what you're saying, but I think that's why they had to, start calling the early Dodge trucks. And of course they have earlier ones, but for the
It wouldn't have
60s,
been
the swept lines.
it wouldn't have been confusing if like the if the diesel trucks, I mean I call the, like my truck's a 99. To me, that's when they started looking like big rigs.
Yeah.
That generation, that would have been perfect to call it first gen, in my opinion, just because it's like it looks totally different,
Yeah.
associates with the previous body styles, but having a first gen of the, because like the tin grills and the plastic grills are almost the same freaking truck. They look
Yeah.
so much the same. You're calling the second generation of that first gens.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
The way I equate it is like with the C10s. I know I shouldn't be saying that word here, but with the C10s, you had the 60s and the early 70s rounder ones. That's how I look at the tin grills, because then they went to the square bodies, which it's funny because it seems like the Dodge crowd, I started noticing that um, they're calling the first gens like the square bodies of Dodge, which I think is funny. And then now I've heard the C10 guys talking about the OBS, which is like the 90s, that late 80s and 90s Chevy
Yeah.
trucks and stuff. They call them OBS, and now I've seen people refer to Dodges as the second gens as Dodge OBS trucks, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, and it's like it's hard to wrap your head around because it's probably a generational thing, but it's like
Yeah.
OBS means old body style,
Yeah.
and it's like that doesn't
Yep.
seem old to me.
I totally get it, man. I couldn't imagine being new to the world of Dodge trucks and just going, okay, wait, swept. So you got swept lines, and tin grills, kind of like a new term that was just created in the past, 5 or 6 years or whatever by
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah, and
So
I don't think it's completely universal yet. I don't think a lot of people have
no,
caught on to it. Like a lot of the Mopar truck guys have got it, but
yeah.
kind of widespread. Any non-Mopar person, they wouldn't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. It's funny because I've had a couple of emails where people were like, I hear you talking about 10 grills all the time. And I'm like, oh, it's 10. 10. I thought that was kind of funny, but
Yeah.
I um
And then
Stealth
it's
says
not,
they're
and then
all
it's
like
not
power
10.
wagons.
It's really not 10, right?
Yeah. Shh. Yeah,
It's all screwed up, man.
it is, man. It's crazy. How excited are you about going back to Vegas for Matt's?
Oh, pretty excited, man. I'm actually, I'm excited because I want to take my tin grill and
Yeah,
actually roll it around there.
that's gonna be fun.
I'm hoping that it'll be cool to just put it around, be like our golf cart. Hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe you'll get a golf cart and we won't need to do it as much. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I hope there's a bigger turnout than there was when we went in September, just because that Vegas dropped the mask mandate, so that should change a lot of things. So
Yeah,
not that we were wearing masks out at the track anyway, but
yeah,
I think a lot of people were just like, I don't want to deal with wearing a mask all the time and shit, because it was really pissing me off. The 2 times I've been in Vegas last year, I would go walk through the casino and people are like, put up your mask. And I'm looking at this 300-pound lady at the slot machine, chain smoking cigarettes and drinking booze. And she's not wearing her fucking mask because she's smoking. And I'm like, whoa, why do I have to wear my fucking mask?
yeah,
It didn't make any sense, but it is what it is. And I really hope, since this is a 20th anniversary, I'm hoping that there's a better turnout than there was, and that people are more inclined to get out, because we've been
yeah,
locked down and shit for too long. Got to get out and start enjoying these car shows again. And with Matt's, it's like you get the drag racing, you get the car show, you get the swap meet, you get the autocross. Birdsong's been
yeah,
pumping that autocross, so I'm getting
yeah.
excited for that.
It's all
Because
that.
there's like, talking to Phil Painter, the organizer of Matt's, I was telling him, it's crazy when you look at, events like Duct Tape and, anything where guys can bring out their ratty cars and race them. It's like, you're talking about a world-class drag racing facility. It's not Tucson Dragway, not to take anything away from Tucson Dragway, but it's
Right.
like they're a little
It's a
stricter.
level.
Yeah, they're a little stricter at the strip. What I mean? They're not going to let some shit box run,
Yeah.
But from what I understand, the autocross is a different story. You can pretty much bring whatever the hell you want out there, as long as you got, it's
Yeah,
properly inspected.
I saw song. It was like I don't know, whatever class. It's kind of like a beater class he was talking about. I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah,
it's kind of organized. So that ought to be pretty interesting. Yeah, you know what? And I was thinking too, because like I aside from going at the end of last year, I hadn't been to the mats in a long time, and it kind of hit me like what I think what kind of hurt the mats more than anything is the freaking the tax, the entertainment tax that they charge there. You know, when mats was like really strong. I mean, back in the day, and I'm talking like in the 2000s or so, you know, when I was going to the mats then, it was like really huge. I mean, it was like a staple event that you always wanted to go to, you know.
Yeah.
And so now you rent a hotel, you get slapped with a entertainment tax, and you go to the event, you get slapped with an entertainment tax. And it's like, I really don't understand why Vegas is doing that, but I think it's hurting them. But I don't know, maybe if they're still filling stadiums and hotel rooms, I guess they can, you know.
Yeah, and I was talking to Phil. I'm gonna have Phil on the show to talk a little bit more about it, but I was asking him about because I used to see when it was strictly Mopars at the strip, and I used to see like the car shows they'd have at the hotel, and I know you and I were talking about that last time.
Yeah.
And apparently there's new owners of the cannery, and they really don't care as much as they probably should, because it's a really good event. And if you can have everybody that goes to that event stay at your hotel, you're kind of cashing in, double. um
Oh,
but
yeah. I mean,
that's a little bummer.
it's badass. It was badass there. I mean, on the outside of the hotel, down the street, it was full of Mopars, and then
Yeah,
you
hell
had
yeah.
like inside, the inside the walls, there's like an entertainment area on the outside, and they had Kenny Wayne Shepherd playing on
Oh,
stage,
cool.
and then his Extreme Lee was in there, and like a bunch of just high end cars were on the inside. So I mean, I wasn't gussied up, but there was a lot of people like gussied up. Like this is
Sure.
a really high end event, to attend. And then when we stayed there, it was like nothing. There was a few cars, but
Yeah.
there was no event going on there.
Yeah.
There's no hanging out.
Yeah. I
Uh,
had a totally different vision of muscle cars at the strip when I went. I was like, but I also knew that it was like a last minute planned event and stuff. So
yeah,
my expectations were, I didn't have I really had no expectations. I just wanted to see what it was all about.
yeah. I mean,
But
it was really different for me because that's the last. I mean, when I was going, it was in the heart of its height, I would
yeah.
say. And then and I know we had a lot of dynamics going on differently just because they did it a year and they were trying to make it an evening event, and it was pretty hot. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out here next month. I think it'll be closer. It'll have its best chance of being of what it was,
Yeah.
by being in March. So hopefully it'll be really kick ass, and hopefully a lot of people come out.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm trying to stay optimistic because this is kind of like, from what I understand, it's a make it or break it. Phil dedicates 6 months of his life every year to the show,
Yeah, I
and
can
that
imagine.
it's not his full time job. So he
Yeah,
puts and imagine what the like. I don't know what the numbers are, but you could imagine what it costs to rent that facility. You know what I mean?
yeah, it doesn't look cheap.
No. And he was telling me he's got huge discounts on the vendor midway this year, uh, just to try to get as many people out as he can. It's like, I think he said, I shouldn't be quoting this, but I think it was like 60% off if you wanted to have a vendor booth at this event, which that's a pretty big discount. It's over
Yeah,
half off. So he's just trying to, this is a make it or break it. He doesn't know if it's going to continue after this event if it's not successful. So I don't know what successful to them is, but I'm trying to just promote it as much as I can because I had a fun time. I mean, Vegas, for me, Vegas is a fun place to go and just get crazy a little bit for a few days.
yeah,
Um, and to combine that with, our love of cars, it's like a great thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well,
During the day, you go to the event, and then at night you go get
yeah,
smashed and play some slot machines or cars.
yeah. Well, I think doing it that way was it's a perfect excuse because people plan their vacations to go to Vegas anyways.
Mhm.
So it's like it gave us car guys an excuse to go. Well, honey, we're gonna go to Vegas, in
Yeah.
March, and you during the day you went to the car show and you went through the swap meet, the car show section, saw some drag racing, and then the evening you did the Vegas thing, and so it was like killing two birds with one stone. It was, I think, an easy way to justify doing a Vegas trip, coinciding the mats. So
Yeah.
I think they'll have that going for them come next month. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it. And this time, I guess on Saturday there's going to be that little rally up in the mountains. I'm kind of excited about that. When I saw that pop up, and there
Yeah,
was only a limited amount of cars that were allowed, I was like, ooh. So I registered us to take the Scat Pack up there into the mountains. Hopefully, there's some like Lamborghinis and some other crazy cars that we can have some fun with. That'll be a lot of fun.
yeah.
Hopefully that guy doesn't have a GPS on that Scat Pack, because I'm planning on having a little fun with that car. And
Get
from
some
what I understand,
balls on the ride.
from what I understand, some of those guys put GPSs in them, and I've seen videos of the guys that rent these cars out, and they have the GPS in them, and you can open up like the screen, and it'll show you like a map of where the car's been, and every time the throttle's been stabbed, it'll show you aggressive acceleration here. And there's this one, I forget what kind of car the guy rented out, but he rented out this car, and it's like you could see the guy was in the city, and like you could see he was obviously stabbing it at stoplights, and then he gets out onto the freeway and just mashes it, and then he gets out way out in the middle of nowhere, and he's just hammering the shit out of this car. I was like, man, I wonder if they have that on all of them.
Yeah,
I was like, I might have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, pretty cool.
yeah.
But
I think that'll be pretty fun.
I think so. Like I said, again, I'm going with no expectations other than I expect it to be bigger than it was when we went in September. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
I think it'll have some advantages, but yeah, it kind of begs the question too, because I've gone with such a big gap between then and now. Uh, oh, cool.
A 20-mile-an-hour roll against a brand new Supra. I hope you whooped his ass. But those new Supras, from what I understand, they're built. I guess BMW had something to do with them building them or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. I saw Ruben last night. Him and Tall John were talking about his car. So I think he figured out the coil was his problem. I don't know if you
Really?
saw the video when we were at Duct Tape. His car was cutting out bad, man. It was just like cut, 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 cut. It just it wouldn't sing like it should.
Yeah.
And he's been struggling to figure it out. And we thought it was the he didn't. I think he didn't have a ground strap between the firewall and the block.
Oh, sure.
And I was thinking, man, that's the problem right there. But I don't think it fixed it. And then he did a video recently of like messing with the advance curve on the distributor, which is a pretty awesome video too. You got to go check out.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably got another video in the works that's going to show the car getting dialed with the new coil, which is
cool.
apparently not out yet. So, but yeah. So what begs the question is the what does the hobby look like between there's no way really to know 10 years ago or 20 years ago versus now. How many cars were concentrated within an area? How many of those cars, are they still on the road? Are they still in the country? A lot of stuff has left the country because the hobby's gone global.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems like a lot of cars got plucked out of the country. So, when you used to go to the mats, it would be just full. I mean, it was, I think the last time I went, the new Charger had just come out. So I think that was 2005 or so.
Yeah, 2005, 2006, right in there.
Yeah, so it was right around there was the last time I had gone. And they were doing like you could jump in the passenger seat and they would take you around the track and thrash on the cars and stuff like that. And it was cool because it was like the Hemi's back, It was a good time. It was fun, and you thought, man, this is going to be awesome. But the amount of new Mopars versus old school, the new Mopars weren't inside the show. Those were the cars you drove to the show. The show was just full of old school cars, and I mean like a lot of really nice ones, a lot of race cars and stuff like that. But like how many of them are still around, and why are they not going back to the event? Are they, like I said, are they gone out of country? Do those guys let them sit and they're not running anymore? They're just parked in a garage, or like what's really going on? Right, Joe.
Joe says, Johnny, they are all sitting in a yard from assholes who bought them up for $250. Who could that be?
Hey, I did that long before the mats even existed. So
Yeah. And last year we really didn't cruise around the pits as much. And when the staging lanes were packed, there was a lot of cars in those staging lanes. And the
yeah,
property is so big, it's kind of deceptive because when we went there, you had all the Mopars 5150 guys and Birdsong, and I know Nico was out there, and they all had their barn finds and stuff. And then Mike Coffey was there. Um, and that was like the attraction for me, aside from what was going on at the track. But we never really got a chance to really cruise the pits and look at all the cars in the pits because at night when the staging lanes filled up, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of cars here.
yeah,
So this year I want to make it a point that we got to go check out those pits a little bit closer because there was a lot of cool cars that were sitting over there.
yeah. I mean, actually, what's kind of funny is the race cars. It doesn't seem like that part's changed any. Like the
Mm,
amount of old school Mopar race cars from say 20 years ago or 10 years ago to now,
yeah.
that seems to be pretty consistent. But the car show section, it seems like there's just less. And I'm not just talking about mats. It seems like a lot of car shows, like our most local Mopar show is we used to have a college or a school for the deaf in Riverside, California, and so Mopars in May, which is the Inland Mopars Club, they would host it there, and you know, watching, in its heyday, that show was full of really nice cars. Given that we're not really, we're not like a big city like say San Diego or San Francisco or Los Angeles or something, being somewhat of a smaller city, it was a pretty good turnout. And the it's probably been 5 years or so since I shouldn't say gone to it, because last year I went and it was at a different location, but last
Mm,
time when it was at the school for the deaf, it seemed like, wow, it's really split in two. Like the old school Mopar population has shrunk down drastically, and
yeah.
then now the other half of the show is modern Mopars. So it's like they have a big footprint, now. But last year they moved it to Ontario, and because of the mask thing, because California, that school is California, so they were I think they were stuck, because of the mask mandate and stuff like that. They couldn't host the show there, so they had to move to another location. The new location in Ontario, it was pretty kick ass. It was pretty awesome, pretty big show, a lot of old school cars. The swap meet was pretty kick ass also. And I mean, Mike Coffey probably had one of the biggest freaking swap meet booths there, So he's
Surprise,
probably,
surprise.
yeah, so he's probably, one of the big reasons why it was a huge success. But I look forward to that show. That one's a good one. But
Yeah, I've seen the same thing around here. The only difference is that there was a couple car shows, because of COVID hit so hard around here and so many events were canceled that the car shows that did happen locally, everybody came out to them. So it was really nice seeing, so many
yeah,
cars come out. So I'm looking forward to this summer seeing some local events really, really blow up. Hopefully. I know I'm tired of being cooped up, and I'm really pissed that it affected, the car enthusiast community so much from, preventing us from getting out to a lot of the events that we wanted to go to and stuff like that, just because a lot of them got canceled, just because
right.
you never know when your local government's going to change, the bullshit rules. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it was tough, but I'm really looking forward to Mats this year. It was fun when it was a last minute show for me. I still had a good time. So I'm hoping this year uh it'll be just as cool. And now that I know that we can get really close to the action, I'm gonna be right at the front of that track, and hopefully I get some better camera equipment.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some stuff right now because oh man, some of that footage, it's gonna be really good this year. I can't wait. Especially now that I got this freaking GoPro. And what's funny is when I was in Georgia, I had all these plans. I brought my GoPro with me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get all the phone footage, and then I'm gonna go back and get all similar footage with the GoPro so that I have even better video. And I didn't even have enough time to do that. So I got to be careful at Matt's. I got to make sure that I stay on my game because I don't know what the weather is like in Vegas. in March compared to September. So I got to prepare because my phone was overheating and shit. So I got the backup. I got the GoPro just in case.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we'll see what happens. But
I'm hoping it's not as hot. I mean, it's
yeah,
probably, on average, it's probably not as hot, but you never know. You might get one of those screwball days where it's like the hottest freaking March ever,
yeah,
But the D100, it it does okay, but I don't know how if it's super hot. Like I don't think it would have survived September when we were there. It was so freaking hot. But
yeah.
so I might be shutting it down for quite a few times if it gets too hot putting
That's
around.
I think that's how I burned up my tin grill at the Good Guys show because at the Good Guys show I've talked about this many times. Here's these fucking people again. Look at this.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers. We've got some spam in the chat, some nudie spam. Anyways, so at the Good Guys show, you're allowed to cruise around. So you find your parking spot, claim your spot, and then you can just drive around the fairgrounds. Well, of course, I'm out there driving around, and people are like, "Yeah, rev it up." So of course, I'm sitting there like having a great time, rah, 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 having a great time, and just I in the truck, I didn't trust the gauges because I was looking at it, I was like, this temperature gauge has not moved. And it climbed and then stayed. And I was like, there's no way it's that cool. Not out here. Not
Yeah.
sitting here idling and then just revving it up and being crazy. And I think that it just got it got a little too hot. And then on the way home, it finally just let go and started burning up. Um, but I suspect it was the alternator overcharging, but I don't know. The way it was burning, I was like, I just
Was this recently?
yeah, this was last July
Oh,
when
so
the wiring harness caught fire.
oh,
From and it looked the way it looked like it started at the alternator and worked its way back all the way to the bulkhead, which it was crazy because I was driving. I just dropped Paul, who was in the chat earlier. I dropped him off in downtown Seattle, and being an asshole, I cruised through the like super green neighborhood just to piss people off because there's a noise ordinance in Seattle, and they're really against loud exhaust, and they hate fucking loud cars. So I was like, I'm gonna go cruise over there and just be an asshole. So I cruised over there, jumped on the freeway, and thank God my buddy Mike is a mechanic, and he lives on the exit that I was approaching as I started to smell something not right because I'm on the freeway and I'm cruising, just having a good time listening to music, and there's two shitbox cars in front of me, and I was like, I wonder if that smells one of them. And I was like, oh yeah, for sure, it's one of them. Right, and they kind of take off, and I'm like, holy shit, that's me, dude. And I'm looking at my buddy's exit, and I'm like, yeah, I think I can make it home. It can't be that big of a deal. And I'm smelling it. I'm like, what is that smell? And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not coolant. It's not, and I'm going through all that the fluids in my head of what is that burning smell? And I'm like, that's fucking electrical. And that's when my wipers started going off, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I knew that it was some wires melting down and fucking shorting out and shit. So I got off the freeway and my lights started dimming and shit. I was like, oh God, no. And the wipers are still going off, and I was playing with the switch. It wasn't working. So I pull over to my buddy's house, pop the hood, and I can see the smoke coming out. And I'm like, oh shit. And of course, I didn't have a fire. Now I carry a fire extinguisher in that truck because
yeah.
that's the second time I've had an issue with that thing catching fire. So I popped the hood and it was melting down. I was watching it melt. I was like, oh, thank God there was no flames or anything. And I stopped it just in time. But had I kept going, I would have burned that fucking truck to the ground, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been pretty gnarly. Trevor's in the house. What's up, Trevor?
Chris, my boy, how you been?
Good, man. What's up? What's happening?
Oh, just enjoying midnight mass with brother Chris delivering the sermon at the Church of Mother Mopar.
Church of Mother Mopar. I love it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say real quick. Going to the junkyards in the 90s, man, I couldn't tell you how many truck doors I opened, and you would see like somebody pulled the dash out of it, and it's just like all melted down in there. Yeah. They're kind of notorious for that, fortunately.
Oh, I know. Like I think the most notorious one, if I remember right, is the alternator wire at the bulkhead always burns out through the amp meter or the voltmeter, whatever it is. Yeah. And so me and my buddy Matt, we just hot wired it. He took a hot poker, melted right through the bulkhead, and hardwired it to the voltmeter. So never had any problems with my alternator and the Ram Charger since.
I had my gauge cluster restored and I had them fireproof the ammeter. So I haven't had any issues since, and the gauges seem to be operating correctly, with the exception I think I have a bad speedometer cable because I had everything hooked up and I double checked everything and my speedometer is still off by like 10 miles an hour. It's really pissing me off now. And I didn't realize it at first because I was driving around and I'm like, fuck, I'm going fast. I'm going like 90 miles an hour. I'm like, the fuck? And I was like, this thing is at 90, even though it does handle like shit. But I realized pretty quick that the speedometer was off.
That's
So I
the
gotta get back and
that's
look
in the
into it.
transmission. That's that. There's a little gear that thing plugs into,
And you can swap them out and shit, right?
yeah,
I
yeah. It
gotta
depends.
look into that.
Yeah, it depends on your tire size. So depending on which tire size you're using, you want to switch that little gear that's in there, and then that'll calibrate, or that'll change your speedometer.
I need to look into that because the speedometer, even when I had it before with the old gauge cluster, that was off tube and it hasn't been consistent. And it was on the same wheels and tires then. So I will look into that because I do know exactly what you're talking about. And I expected it to be off, but I didn't expect it to be that far off. So I got to look and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
I don't know what the original tire size on that thing was either. I got to look that up and figure out what the ratio is. So
I've been extremely lazy wiring my Ram Charger. All I did to get it running was hook up the God, what I hook up? I hooked up the ignition side, but I don't have a speedometer. I don't have an oil gauge, but valves aren't clattering, so it's getting oil pressure.
How are your other projects going, Trevor?
Well, I mean, hit and miss, right? Like I was telling you on Messenger, like I'm trying to do my projects like Johnny Mopar. You came up with like the best project description, like the ring of projects, you know?
oh yeah.
I love that term because, you know, the first ring is the cars you're never going to get rid of, the ones you're always going to keep. You know, number two is the ones you really, really, really don't want to get rid of, but if somebody threw enough money at you, you'll get rid of them. So, I think at this point, I'm trying to figure out which one to get to because I'm getting my small projects out of the way first. Like, I'm getting my TRX 450 ready for the summer because I want to hit the sand. I'm thinking I'll get started on the D100 first because it's easy enough to put a 360 and a 4-speed in it because it's already a 3-speed on the tree slant 6. And I did find a 360 Magnum. It needs a rebuild, but it was only $400 and it's still in the crate. Wow. So it's like Chris was telling me, do the easiest ones first. And it's like, man, I really want to get started on my Ram Charger, but the D100 is practically rust free. All it needs is a front fender and a door, and the whole body straight. So it's like, I'll probably do that one first because it's like, well, I can have a Street Warrior and then I could fix the really rusty ones, my Ram Charger, my Coronet, because it's just the Coronet's going to take the longest because it's already the most expensive one I've got. Yeah. Because anything 60s Chrysler is going to be expensive. So the D100 is probably going to get my full attention once I get to my cars, because right now I'm just working on my 4-wheelers, the stuff that's cheapest. But when you're making horsepower, is anything really cheap?
Yeah, it's
not really not in the Dodge camp, anyways. Mopar camp, even for trucks. I mean, Chris was just talking about that today, right?
Yeah. But I'm sitting here preaching, oh yeah, Dodge trucks are great projects. It's like, well, you can't find parts for them unless you
somebody's out there cursing you out, you bastard.
But it's funny because every once in a while a really good one lands in the boneyard, and if you're not there, that thing is picked fucking clean.
Yeah.
Well, that's another interesting story. That's how I met one of my best friends. Is he drives my buddy Gage. He drives an '85 Ram Charger. And he moved from California, so he made the right choice there. So I already knew he was smart. And he's like, I drove that Ram Charger to work just to make friends. And we'd never met each other. And I said, is that Ram Charger an 85? He's like, well, yes, it is. And I see him visibly get relaxed because he's told me enough times about how many times people said, nice Bronco or nice Blazer. and I'd want to kick their teeth into them. Like, this is a Ram Charger. This is the best SUV ever made. This is not a Bronco or a Blazer. This is a Ram Charger.
Let's see what we got. Some people in the chat here. Joe says, I was just reading an ad for a 70 Coronet wagon, and they said the hood from those were used with the Superbird. I think people use. I know that I've seen them used in Superbird clones. Like, people will take the hood off of 70 Coronet. I don't know if they have to be modified.
They do.
The extension, right, in the front.
Yeah, because the Coronet, it's got the wraparound bumpers on the front. Mm-hmm. So the front of the hood kind of dips in the middle. Yeah, so the front edge of a Coronet hood is cut off, and then like an extension piece is put on that's flat to be a Superbird hood. But the Superbird uses a legit Coronet hood. It's off of a Dodge Coronet.
They use the fenders on the Coronet too?
They did. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Good morning.
Yeah, sorry, go for it.
Saying hi to our buddy from Sweden. What's up, Will? Johnny, do you have stock suspension on the Duster? No.
It's pretty much stock.
Is it?
Yeah, the only thing that's not stock is I have SPC. Let me rephrase that, I guess. It's not original factory front suspension, but it's nothing fancy. It's just like the disc brake kit is an A-body style disc brake kit. I did put drop spindles on it, so it's got 2-inch drop spindles on it. And then I put SPC upper control arms on it because I have the car sitting really low. And with the upper A-arms pushed all the way out, the car still has negative camber. So I had to get the SPC arms to have more adjustments, get more degrees to push the wheels more straight up and down. So, and then I cheated because the SPC kit, it basically, where you have the eccentrics, the factory eccentrics to adjust the upper A-arms in and out, they put just straight bolts with round washers on it. So you lose the factory adjustment, and then it has like the threaded sleeves to push the control arm out.
Yeah.
So I put the factory eccentrics back in it so I can increase my adjustability. So I have the factory adjustment, and then I have the SPC arm adjustment. So my wheels are pretty much straight up and down.
You guys got to watch Johnny's video of aligning that car. I was sitting there, I was like, damn, this guy is old school as shit. I was like, this is amazing. That video had me intrigued.
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, because, without any kind of tool, like equipment, and then the problem is when you start adjusting one side, you go to the other side and you see it's screwed up now because there's nothing to lock the wheel down, so you have to do a lot of back and forth. And then the caster is like really difficult because it's more of a feel. You just got to get it as close as you can and then drive the car and kind of like let go of the steering wheel. And then if the car goes one direction, that the caster's not the same. You got to tweak on that side to get it to go the other way. So that video is really good for theory, but like, I'm not even sure the car's still dead nuts. In fact, next weekend, I'm going to take it to the alignment shop. My buddy Dennis, he knows somebody in Hemet that's got an alignment shop. And then a friend of mine at work dropped doubt in my head because I started having flashbacks. And this is in the 90s. I took my 70 Charger to Winston Tire to get it aligned. And I shit you not, like the guys today and even from the 90s to now, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They do not know how to align an old school car. And the old school cars, they're not as tight as new cars. They're sloppy. So you have to align them with the full weight of the car down, and dial in those wheels, how the car is going to be rolling down the road. They like to lift the car up so the wheels are just like hanging. And then you put all your tools and sensors and, whatever bullshit on there. And then they line it up and it's like, oh yeah, there you go. It's dead nuts. Computer says it's, it's perfect. And then when you put the weight of the car down on, your wheels are like freaking like all jacked up. So they aligned my 70 Charger. And I'm like, what the? I'm I'm pulling out of the place. I can't even drive 10 feet. The wheels are so jacked up and they're squealing. And I'm like, you guys, are you kidding me? Like, I can't even make it home. And they're like, well, we're closed. We just closed. Like, bring it back tomorrow. And I'm like, I can't even drive down the street. It is so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's worse than it was when I drove in. So I had to crawl under the car myself and freaking tweak the alignment enough to get it straight enough to drive it home. This is like freaking ridiculous. So anyway, that was my flashback. And so I called my buddy and I'm like, dude, this guy in Hemet, is he an old school guy? Like, we need that chain smoker, old guy that's like, those fucking new guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. You know, this is how you align an old Mopar. Like, those are the guys you need. They know their shit, right? But most of them they're dead now. They're too fucking old.
Need that guy on the voice box going, hello, I'm here to help you with your car.
Yeah.
Those are the guys you want. Those guys know their stuff. But so then Dennis called his buddy that he's the guy that I think he owns Verona, the drag strip. And he's like, oh, yeah, you got to go to this shop down in San Diego. So we got to drive an hour down to San Diego next Saturday, or I do, to get the car aligned. So we'll find out how close I was, you know, because I haven't aligned it since. I can go up and down the road, but it's a little squirrely. I think it's more to do with the tires because I have drag tires on it. So they're only, you know, like 7.5 inch. Yeah, they're pizza cutters, and the bottom of the tire, it's not flat, it's like arched. So the contact area is really small for, you know.
See, Steve Dulcich taught me you can align a duster with a tape in a bubble level.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you could do it better than most shops can do it these days, but you know, it's not simple. It's a lot of back and forth. You're going to do a lot of back and forth.
Let's see, in all the Dodges I've owned, like I've learned one thing: if you're not on top of the steering, it's gonna be sloppy. Like my old '97 Ram 1500. Yeah, I got lazy about doing the steering box because it's a pain in the ass job. But you know that thing, it was darting all over the road. So I just learned in all my Dodges, you're darting all over the place if you aren't on top of your steering components.
Yeah, there's many times where people would come in and, you know, they'd want an alignment, but the front end was completely shot. When I worked at a tire store back in the day, and I worked at a tire store where the owners were old school, and everybody brought their hot rods there because of what Johnny's saying. They had the alignment rack where they had the pivoting plates, so you just put the heads on the wheels, and the weight of the car would be sitting on these plates that could rotate. So you just lift the car in the air and then you do your adjustments or whatever. But there's many people where they'd come in and you'd be like, hey, you need a whole new front end. And they'd be like, I don't got, and then you quote them. And they'd be like, I don't got the money for that. Just align it the way it is. It's like, all right, okay. You want to waste your money. It's going to still drive like shit. We'll do it as best we can. And I remember because we would get printouts and shit, and it would show you either everything's green or everything's red, and you'd get those cars and like, this is as close we could get it. It's all fucking red. It's like, oh well, but you need a new front end, dude. So,
well, you know what I learned? I was watching a video. Who's the guy who runs House of Colors, House of Muscle?
Mike Musto.
Well, I'm watching
is it Mike Musto?
I think
it's Mike
so.
Musto. Yes, it's Mike Musto.
I was watching a YouTube video of his a long time ago about his charges, like 2014, 2015. And he was saying how a lot of guys, they make the mistake of is they want their car to be pretty. They want it to be flashy. They want it to look nice, but they forget about everything else. Like he said, he was all concerned about making his car pretty, but that 440 ran like garbage. And he said he never got it to run right until he realized it's not all about looking good. Like that's a bonus, but for me, looks have never been as important as making the car run right. Like I had an 88 Pontiac Bonneville I called the Bonerville. That thing was a pile. But I mean,
oh, that's funny.
I was probably the only 23-year-old in the entire state that owned 3 Pontiac Bonnevilles at once.
You're probably the only guy in the country.
And so, you know, that car, I mean, it was worth $500 maybe with a tank of gas in it, but I kept it running, right? So it's like, it don't got to look good, but if it gets you down the road, that's the most important thing, because you could look pretty as you want on the side of the road. You're still on the side of the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually got really excited. Speaking of coilovers, I got really excited when I found out that that company, I forget the name of it now, has a coilover suspension kit for the tin grills. I was like, are you shitting me right now? Because I've been waiting for something to upgrade the suspension on that truck.
Yes.
It handles like complete shit. So
Your current truck.
yeah, the Mr. Norm truck. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How much is it? Because Johannes was talking about the Duster. He was going to do the coilover conversion.
That's what reminded me of it. It's like
Okay.
$1,200. It's like $1,200, but it's according to Blake, it's like the brother of the guy who owns, I think he said QA1, but I guess he branched off or whatever. And I remember talking to the guys at QA1 at Mo Party because I saw that they came out with Swept-line stuff, and I was like, man, when are you gonna hook up the first gen and the tin grill guys?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's got to be a demand or whatever. And I'm like, shit. And then I actually saw the kit on eBay, and I was like, oh, stay away from that. But I looked up the brand, Viking something, and it's legit. So I was like, holy shit. And that got me really excited because I've been wanting to upgrade the suspension on Mr. Norm, especially if I'm going to put a Hemi in it and throw some more power at it. I want it to handle good. I also need to get the rear end dialed in because it is a one wheel peel and I can't have that.
Yeah. So's mine, by the way. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I just can't.
It needs a sure grip.
It just runs good enough to like. I just can't justify spending any money and any time on it. It's like, it's definitely doesn't handle the greatest. It gets shitty gas mileage. It's paint the shot. It's like, but it's not bad enough to justify taking it apart and stuff. So it's like I got cars that are in worse shape than it that I can focus on.
You got Chargers and shit. I think the tin grill can wait.
I got to tell you, I own a Ram V10, and I feel your pain about gas mileage. A 35-gallon tank at the way gas prices are now, no thanks.
Yeah.
Brian, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's up, Brian? Mr.
How you guys doing? Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see Brian's video of calling out Lunar?
I started to watch it because I got all excited. I just the first line, I was like, "Oh shit!"
You gotta watch
what
it.
I was doing, but I got distracted. I need to watch it.
It's only a minute long.
Is it?
Yeah. It's short.
But I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
man.
it was funny.
I was thinking, are these guys tight? They must be tight. They must be buddies to be able for Brian to be coming in that strong.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
But he didn't take it serious. No one's taking my call out serious. So I'm just right now. I don't have a race. Oh well.
I'll race you on my three-wheeler.
I may have somebody. I'm not going to sell them out yet because I don't know. I'm going to sell them out. Scott, I apologize if you hear this. My buddy Scott, he lives over in Spokane. He's got a Duster. It's fully caged, tubbed out, and he decided based on our podcasts and stuff. That he's going to try to make it to Sykeston. And I was like, oh, man. And I've been thinking about this. I was like, oh, I've got the perfect matchup for Brian.
Oh, who is that? Is that
Heaven's Mopars is his channel.
Yes. Yeah, I started watching that guy. Yeah.
Super nice guy. Awesome guy. I think it would be fun to watch you guys because you guys,
he needs to jump on. So you know him?
Yeah. Not like I haven't ever met him personally, but it's kind of like a Johnny Mopar and I situation where I talk to him online all the time, and he's super nice. Like he couldn't be a nicer guy.
Tell him
he's got this Duster.
I know. I watched his videos. He's working on that Challenger too. Tell him to hit me up.
Okay.
On Facebook, Dust Devil Garage on Facebook. Shameless plug. And tell him to send me a message, and I'll let him know next time I do a live where I'm trying to help everybody get up to 500.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like for him to come in and talk about his stuff. And
when I found out that he was going to try to get out to Sykeston, he's got his Challenger and a couple other projects in the way. But I was like, oh, that'd be perfect because I was trying to buy his Duster for a minute, not too seriously. But when I found out he was trying to get it to Sykeston, I was like, oh, that's awesome. But the funny thing about it is that whoever fabricated the cage didn't really take into account. Let me put you this way: the driver door doesn't shut because the cage is in the way. So he's got to fix a couple of things because I don't know who fabricated it, but they miscalculated a little bit.
Well, that's
But
the thing, though. Everybody acts like I've got such a long road ahead of me to build my car. If he does that, he's fixing a car to sell to build a car that's in about the same shape as mine.
no, and that's why I was like, oh, it's perfect because you guys are both pretty much at the same spot with your Dusters.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh,
I'll
man,
do whatever
that'll-
I can to
that'll
help
be
him
great.
get out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna have to. I'm writing.
He
that
seems
down
like
so
a
I
really
don't-
good guy. He's got dogs. I like dogs.
He's a super nice guy. Couldn't be nicer. Yeah, it would be fun to see two Dusters go at it, especially since you guys are both, the Dusters are pretty much, relatively in similar condition. They're pretty much
Yeah.
shells. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. I'll definitely get a hold of Scott tomorrow and let him know.
How
Well,
are you
you're-
doing on your Duster, Brian? Where are you at?
I'm at parts collecting mode is what I'm in right now.
Okay.
I know that feeling. I collected parts for over a year for my 250R. It involves a lot of patience, dealing with a lot of flakes, and eventually finding that guy who has everything you need.
Did you end up getting a parts car for that thing, Brian?
Well, I'm not going to get the whole car because I
Okay.
really don't have a place to put it right now.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be working on a car and trying to get rid of a parts car at the same time. But the dude's going to let me come out there and basically take everything I want off of it.
Nice.
I'm probably going to be doing that next weekend, and I'll do a video on that. I figured that might be a good video.
Did you ever get that rear end situation handled?
No, I'm actually looking for a rear end, but I've got a couple leads and indies coming up in like 2 weeks. So
Oh yeah.
2 or 3 weeks. So I'm anything I don't find out there, that's when I go into buying from other places. But
Yeah. I keep hearing about that swap meet. I've never been. I keep hearing it's epic.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's another one on the bucket list I got to get to someday.
Yeah. Well, I go
Is
there
that-
every year, so
Is that the Mopar Nationals or is that a different show?
that's it's out at Indy. It's just an all Mopar swap meet. Indy Cylinder Heads puts it on at the fairgrounds. It's huge.
Okay.
They change the days. Usually it's Saturday and Sunday, but this year they're doing it Friday and Saturday.
What? How far away is that from you, Brian?
About 3 hours away.
It fucking seems like you're
kinda
close
in
to
a
everything.
good place. I am in a good spot.
Shit. Every time I hear about something cool, it's like Brian's like, "Hey, I'm going." Like, fuck. Well, how close are
I
you to
know.
everything?
Well, I mean, I'm 5 hours away from Mo Party, but that's where I
That's not
messed
bad.
up. That's where I messed up last year at Mo Party. Was I decided since you were going to be there, I was like, oh, I'm going to go out there and meet Chris. Told the wife because we weren't going to go, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, we need to go, and we did it last minute, and I ended up like just leaving out and getting there. I left out early in the morning, and then whenever we met there, is when I got there. I was half asleep, and then it was so damn hot. Oh my god.
That
It
was,
was
a different level
muggy
for
out
me.
there.
God, I don't think my back has ever sweat that much. I was like, what is happening to me out here?
I think that's the worst part. Chris will tell you, living in the Pacific Northwest, there's just not a whole lot of like Mopar specific events like down Midwest towards the South. Like the Mopar scene is just so much bigger. Like where I'm at, I'm next to the Woodburn drag strip. I get like one day a year where everybody brings
Nationals.
out their good stuff. Like it's Mopar day, Mopars at Woodburn or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just the one day a year where I could take a wad of cash and somebody's going to have what I need, be it my Ram Charger, my Coronet, or my D100. And it's like, why can't I have more days like that? Like make it a weekend or hell, even a week, not just a day where I have one day to be like, okay, I need this, this, and this. And then if I forget something, I'm like, ah, shit, got to wait for that guy another year.
Well, I've got Indy that's like 3 hours away. Then up here at Gateway International, they started it last year and it wasn't very big. But they're doing a Mopar thing up there where there's going to be an all Mopar swap meet. And then, like the first year at Mopar, it was really small. I mean, the swap meet was like took like 2 minutes to walk through. But last year it was huge.
Mm.
Last year I didn't even get to walk through all of it.
Yeah, that's
So
why I need to be in a different part of the country. This is
yeah, you do.
where I
So does
live is not
Johnny.
conducive to what the hell I'm trying to do.
Well,
My
I
wife
should
just
say that there's no like specific places around me. Like about an hour away from me, there's Wildcat Auto Wrecking,
yeah.
and they got a lot of like truck stuff. If that makes sense, a
Mm.
lot of, shall we say, the less desirable Mopars. Like they have some Cornets, they have no Chargers, no Challengers. Like whatever, like more desirable Mopars they had have been picked clean long ago. But there's just tons and tons of truck stuff because it's the area. Like it's up in the boonies. Like what's an old farmer gonna do when he's got a truck he doesn't want? He's gonna take it to Wildcat, but nobody really did that. There's one or two like 66, 67 Cornets laying around up there, but the complete ones are gone in a hurry. Like it's just mostly truck stuff. So I
I've
own trucks, but it's just the fact that the muscle car stuff, it's just there's not a lot at Wildcat.
I've seen them. They've sold a couple good A bodies, and I think a couple like early 70s B bodies, but there it's definitely a great place for a van guy because I've seen they have a lot of A100 shit and A series van stuff, and also B series van stuff. And actually, I was like a minute too late, and they had a really nice boogie van that they ended up sending overseas. Some guy bought it basically sight unseen, except for in pictures, and it ended up going. I don't remember what country, but they loaded it up. It had the porthole window and all that shit. I was like, oh, that would have been perfect, and it was in solid shape. So I frequent their website just to see what kind of projects they have for sale. But they've had the same row of A100s forever, and nobody will buy them. I gotta make it out there. I heard the place is still for sale for like 2 million or 3 million, something crazy like that.
Worth it.
I think it would be pretty cool to have. But
Well, I've got about an hour away from me. There's I can't remember the name of the yard, but it's in Catawissa, Missouri, and it's all Mopar. The dude is like the third largest Mopar yard in the country.
shit, you're in Illinois. Have you ever been to Mopar City?
No, that's farther north.
Oh,
That's
okay.
like I want to go there. Well, I've heard that that guy's selling out too, though. Isn't
Yeah, and everything he doesn't sell is getting crushed, dude. They may have some duster shit up there, dude.
I may have to take a ride up there one weekend. It may
Call
be.
him,
I think
dude.
that's like 4 hours away or something.
You may want to
Well-
call him. He may have some shit, and he may be letting it go for cheap. I don't know how
Mhm.
soon he's going to be scrapping shit, but I know he's got stuff up there. If you
When
look at
is
the
I'm gonna write
overhead
that down.
picture, you can see all the high impact colored cars. It's like, holy shit.
Wow.
Well, Chris, if you ever find your way down in the Willamette Valley, I'll take you up to Wildcat. Know exactly how to get there because, well, it's the place that dreams are made of for an old farm boy who likes his mud trucks. The highest. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
No, I was saying I've been meaning to go down there and talk to those guys for a minute. I just haven't had a chance. And when they put it up for sale, it kind of killed my drive to go down there. But
It's still
as far as
open.
I know, it hasn't sold. And I'd like to go check out some of their van shit because I need some stuff.
I don't know if I'll ruin the surprise, but as soon as you walk into their office, sitting in the corner is either a 69 or a 70 complete 6-pack 440.
Oh, really? That's
And
cool.
that is probably the highest dollar part on the whole property because it's a complete, 6-pack 440. How often do you see that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I know they got a stash of tin grill parts there. So that's another reason why I need to go head out there. We'll see, though. I'll let you know when I come down.
They even have some old, if I remember last, I don't know if it's still there, but they had some old 50s military wagons or ambulance wagons. Like they've got some oddball stuff up there that you're just like, man, that's cool. I don't want to buy it, but I'm probably never going to see it again,
Yeah, I really want to get a hold of this Mopar City because I've got some money burning a hole in my pocket. And I want to see what they got up there, especially if it's all getting crushed. I'm like, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's all garbage and shit. But it's like every time I hear a lot of the stuff that I see that I'm like, oh, I want that. People are like, it's garbage. So
Man, I feel like I was watching some guy, I can't remember his name, but was watching some guy on YouTube, and there was like this. I think this guy just had a bunch of old cars spread in the woods of his property, and he died. And so the family was cleaning it up, and they were stacking these cars up, and they were probably like stacked 4 or 5 high, right? And they were going to go to the crusher. They were all going to go to the crusher, and the guy's like, I mean, he's running the camera across them, and they're bad. They're in bad shape. Like they're rusty. Probably not very many usable parts on any of these cars. There was a couple of Mopars sprinkled in, nothing exotic, but like a Duster, and I think there was an Aspen or something. And there was like the best car was like a 64 B body or so, 63 or 4 B body. But it's like, it sucks to see that stuff. It's like there's still enough of the car that you could see, you can make it out, and it's just going to be completely erased from the planet. And you feel like couldn't we like cut parts off of that car and make all wall art out of it or something? So it's like, it lasts forever. At least it has some use by being a piece of art on somebody's wall versus completely, getting melted down.
Well, that takes me back to the first episode of Talking Mopars, where that guy, he crushed that purple 70 Charger 500, and Chris, rightfully so, was laying into him. And if I was screaming at my phone, I know he couldn't hear me, but I'm like, it's a 70 Charger. I don't care how rusted out that thing is. You don't do that.
Yeah, you just
what pisses me off.
Birdsong.
Yeah, what pisses me off is it seems like it was a pretty reasonable price too. If I remember right, it was like $4,000 or something like that. Either it was $4,000 or he was offered $4,000 or something, and he was like, "Oh fuck, for that price, I'll crush it." And I'm just like, dude, just take what you can get for it, asshole. Shit. I don't know. That it just pisses me off.
Doing that man lives on in the worst way possible. We're still talking about him like over 2 years later, because he was enough of an asshole to crush a 70 Charger.
Yeah. Every time I listen to that episode, I'm like, God, fuck, if there was a drinking game for however many times I call that guy a douchebag, you'd be fucking smashed.
Yeah. Well, that gives you a clue though why he did it, because doing this YouTube stuff, like part of the game is you're trying to get people to watch your channel and sub to your channel and stuff and get your videos to go viral. I mean, that'd be ideal. And then, you start to realize now that you're kind of on the other side of the fence, now I can see why people do shit like that. I mean, sacrificing that guy, that video spread like wildfire. Like everybody knew who he was. Who knows how much money he made off of making that video. If he was already monetized and set up, I mean.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he made as much as he could have made off of the car.
Well, I mean, it depends. If the car was, say the car was worth $4 or $5,000, and let's say he made 20 grand on it, then you go, it's just like Whistling Diesel, right? He took a TRX.
I was about to say Whistling Diesel.
Yeah, he took a brand new TRX Hellcat motor truck and destroys it, right? Okay, what's that truck cost? It's like $100,000 truck, right? But obviously he made, who knows? I don't know what he made on it. He probably made 4 or 5 fold what it cost him to buy the truck to do that, And so it just becomes just like the movies, just like Fast and Furious. They destroy a 70 Charger or 2 or 3 or 4, but when they make millions of dollars making the video or the movie, it's like it's part of the cost of doing the movie.
Well, look what he did with that Hellcat he bought. I mean, he stuck it on wagon wheels and bottomed it out in his cornfield. I mean, he's making bank, like he destroys $100,000 any level Fords and, like,
he could
like 20 Duramaxes at this point. He's making bank off of what he's doing.
It's amazing what you can make on social media. Johnny knows how much I've made on that fucking 85 Shelby Charger video. And it's not the first video I've done on it. The first video I did was back in like June of last year, and it made me like $1,000.
Did this other one hit good too?
Dude, this last one is I think it's almost at 3 million views, but I've made almost $4,000 on it. I'm knocking on the door at $4,000. It's like 39 something. I'm like, you're shitting me. And it's the most viewed I've ever had a video. By far, it's at like 2.9 million or something. I haven't looked. It's an 85 Shelby Charger that I did a 30-second reel on. That's made me $4,000.
Looking for
That's why
85. I'm looking for 85 Chargers on Marketplace right now.
when I could not believe, I don't know what it is about that car. I thought for sure going out to Georgia that I'd do some videos on it and they'd fucking blow up, but nothing has touched that Charger. I don't get it. It's insane. I think part of it was me being, I kind of trolled people and I was like, is this V8 swap worthy? Because I knew that people would fucking lose their minds, and they did. And it's been a cash cow for me. So every time somebody hates on it, I'm like, yes, bring it. Come on, more.
Brian's gonna find one and he's gonna do an LS swap on it. Everybody will hate him. It's gonna go viral.
What's funny is that the video made me $4,000, but I also have the analytics of how many followers I lost since the video came out. It's actually pretty shocking. I'm like, 300 people just said, fuck this guy, and took off.
Well, people love watching nice, expensive cars get trashed. Like when the Hellcat first came out, one of Roadkill's greatest moments was when they took a brand new Viper, a brand new Challenger Hellcat, and a brand new Charger Hellcat on a dirt bike track. And that's every like just guy who's beat passenger cars out in the woods dream. Like, I would love to get paid to take a 707 horsepower Hellcat and go jump it off a dirt bike track.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
You guys can see that. 2.99 million on the Charger. That's how many people have viewed that thing. 2.99 equals basically $4,000 on Facebook. For reels, for 30-second reels. It's insane. They have this bonus program going out right now because they're trying to compete with TikTok. And it's been very profitable for me. That one video anyway. Everything else seems to fall flat on its face. But it blows my mind. I don't know how much you make per million views on YouTube, but I bet that's comparable. Which goes to say, these guys that have millions of views on YouTube, they're making some good money. But some of the shit I'm seeing, I'm like, how can they afford that? Because unless they have outside sponsors or something, or YouTube pays a lot more than I think.
Well, what did Tony say the other day? He actually did something where he was talking about like a video that gets like 1 million views.
He
can
said
net him like 20 grand. He said.
No, he said 3 million views is like $30,000.
Yeah,
because he was talking about like these guys that are, like this infinite energy, like hooking an alternator to a generator and then wiring them together and then put a ripcord on it, which he's calling all bullshit. But he's saying, why
it is.
It is, but why are they doing it? It's to get views, and these videos have like 3 million views, and he says that's like $30,000. So, I mean,
all right, well then Facebook ain't paying shit, and I'm getting ripped off.
Well, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, even if you could come up with one video like that, as awesome as it would be, I mean, you'd have to do something like that consistently to make it a living,
Yeah.
I just don't think you could do it. I mean, obviously that guy did a few of them, I guess, because it's the same guys. It's like from Indonesia or something like that, somewhere in Asia they were doing this.
$30,000 in fucking Asia, you're pretty much a millionaire.
Yeah, it probably is. Maybe you only do need one hit, and then you got your mansion. You're good.
You head over to Bangkok, and you're gonna have a good time with $30,000. I'll tell you that.
Well, we think of the Mopar community as large as well. It is mostly American, but like the Finland has a huge Mopar scene, and Australia, they have a massive Mopar scene too. Like they had their Chargers with the straight six Hemi. We didn't get that here.
Yeah.
So it's just something to think about. Like, it's way bigger than you ever thought it would be.
Well, it is. In the 90s, the Japanese were swooping up a bunch of American iron because their currency was so strong back then. So a bunch of stuff went to Japan. Even in Germany, C-bodies are huge in Germany. So they've been buying a bunch of C-bodies going over there. I think in Sweden or Finland too. They're into C-bodies. But yeah, and who knows what else? I know Australia's big. So
well, I have a Mopar Action magazine sitting around somewhere that had a big story on Mopars in the Middle East. And you know, the Middle Eastern cats, they got all that oil money. They can afford any damn thing. Like, and
Yeah.
they're buying like anything they can because you know we get first dibs because they were made over here. But one guy had a slant six 4-speed 70 Challenger, and that might be rare, but it's a rare nobody cares about. So he picked it up, and other guy, he bought a 57 Plymouth Fury, and all it needed was a front windshield. And he was talking about how the Middle East has a really nasty luxury tax, which basically means we can charge whatever the heck we want. The dude paid $11,000 back in like 2014 for the front windshield for like a 57 or 58 Fury. So they're dedicated to the craft over there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, kind of because I have friends from Denmark and they've taken a few cars back over there. You know, what cars we view as just sort of like regular cars, like let's say tin grill D100s, pickup trucks, like Chevy pickup trucks, El Caminos, you know, cars that are not really like high-end, expensive, rare cars or high-performance cars per se. They're a little more coveted over there. I mean, so it's not the same level. What might be just a regular pickup here that all of us have in our fleet, you know, over there, it's like this is an American pickup truck, so it's more valuable, it's more coveted, and but it's held by people that might have a little more prestige. You know, it's not necessarily in the United States, it's your average Joe that is driving that pickup truck, but over there, it's a guy that's got a little more money because not only is he paying full price for that truck, an American price, he's paying the shipping costs to drag it over there. And then a lot of those countries have huge taxes to get those vehicles into their system.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So what might be, let's just say a $10,000 pickup here, you know, could cost them $18,000 by the time they're done rolling it on the road over there, you know? So they're having to really pony up to make it happen. So,
well, that's really interesting because I actually had a little Facebook back and forth with a guy who owns one of 4 known 4-door Hemi cars to exist, and it was one of the white ones, and I can't remember if Don Garlitz owned it or it was the FBI car, but I know for a fact he had one of the only 4 4-door Hemi cars on the planet. And what's interesting to me is like Uncle Tony's Garage did a story about one of the 4-door Hemi cars, and it was the FBI special ordered car. And him just going through that car, it was fascinating to me because this is the FBI. You know, they have the money to get any option they want for anything they want. And they got the most bare bones 66 4-door Coronet they could, but they just ordered the Hemi. Literally nothing else but a Hemi. And I look at a car like that and I question, do you really want a tiny, tiny manual brake master cylinder and manual steering, manual brakes, drum brakes, all 4 corners? It's just like, I don't know. It just seems like such a sketchy car to drive, if you ask me. I'd happily drive it.
Brakes are for quitters.
That's why I drive manuals, dude. I can downshift.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what the circumstances were when they bought the car. It's like they could have bought it just to test it. You know, it could have been just a test mule. Maybe it went into fleet after the fact, but you know, it's hard to say what they were thinking.
Now, here I got a question for you guys because I can't remember what they're called. The little cards that they put in the little pockets on like the 60s. What are those called? Certicards, yeah.
Yeah.
That did you see that video of mine where I went out to look at that parts car? That
did it have one?
there is a 67 Fury out there that was wrecked in the front. The guy has the Certicard for that car. Says something about police on it, and that's a 2 fender tag car. I'm going to be going out there again next weekend. I'm going to try to get good pictures of the fender tags. 'Cause I want to decode it. I want to see what all. Because
Yeah,
hell,
that'd
that
be
car
interesting.
might be worth saving. I mean, it was wrecked pretty hard in the front end, but it might be worth saving
Yeah.
if it was that highly optioned.
My dad, we actually had it was a 69 Plymouth Fury 3 with a Super Commando 440 in it. And I don't remember looking at the fender tag that closely, but there is codes, at least on the 69, that tell you it's got the police package in it. This car was a factory police package car. It had a spotlight on the driver's side A-pillar, and it had Motorola radios in it and stuff. Unfortunately, we had a field fire come through the property, and it burned a bunch of cars, and that was one of the ones that got destroyed. But man, that would have been a really cool car. It was a civil defense car. I don't know if you guys remember or know what civil defense is. So, like during World War II, they formed a civil defense. It's sort of like a branch of, I guess it's part of the government or military, and it's sort of like, you know, if there was sabotage going on, these guys were kind of patrolling around, you know, to make sure that everything was cool, type of thing.
I've heard of it before.
Yeah, so they made civil defense cars. Apparently, it went all the way up to 69. I'm not sure how much further it went before they dissolved it. But that car was it was a B, I think it was B3 blue factory car. So it wasn't painted black or white anything, but it was a police package car. It was a bitchin' car.
I want to try to get this guy to get on camera or maybe even just audio and tell his story. Because the property that he's living on, supposedly he went out there with a friend to look for a Challenger. Because he heard that this guy had a Challenger out there. And he went out there with a friend. And this guy who lived out there just had all kinds of old cars. And most of them were Mopars. And he had a barn full of stuff. And that barn burnt down. And he's
shit.
like, he even said, he's like, I could go walking around where that barn is and kick around and still find like Mopar parts and stuff.
Holy shit.
He gave me a manual steering gearbox. He said, I found that just laying on the ground. And I'm like, still works. Screw it. I'm putting it on my car, you know?
Yeah.
I'd get to my knees and cry if that happened. I'm not going to lie to you.
But yeah, he ended up buying the property out there too, and that those 3 or 4 cars were on it.
Oh, cool.
And there's an neat old Ford out there, but I think somebody else is going to do a YouTube video on that.
Cool.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the earning potentials on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I've been getting ripped off on Facebook. This is interesting. I need to start building. I got 200 followers or 200 subscribers on YouTube. I got to bump that shit up.
Yeah.
Well, you know who does like the stuff that Roadkill used to do is Vice Grip Garage. Like he does a lot of those oddball Mopars too.
He
Like-
just did a
10 grill.
Yeah, he just did a 10 grill. I watched
No
it
shit.
today.
Yeah, it did. It's
Right?
pretty good. Like, look, the guy is obviously, I mean, I tried watching him. I didn't see the allure, and I kind of stopped following him. And then he did a 10 grill, and I was like, well, it's a Dodge because he does mostly GM stuff, right? But he did this Dodge truck, so I actually watched him full, and most of his videos are an hour long, so you got to be dedicated, you know?
Yeah, you got to have time.
Yeah, and he's actually pretty funny. He's actually pretty good. When he did the Dodge video, I was pretty.
Well, and the thing is, he Derek, he kind of plays it off like he's stupid, but he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
Like
you know.
you can tell some of the stuff that he says. He's like, oh, okay, you know what the hell you're talking about, you know.
Oh, yeah. He definitely knows.
I think that's why he gets such a big following, though. I mean, it's like he actually teaches people stuff.
Yeah.
And he has the comic part of it in there, you know.
A lot of
people like
a
cheesy.
full handle.
Yeah.
Oh, he had me rolling. I mean, it was like he does the you think he's gonna say one thing and he says another. Like, so with the Dodge truck, he was like he goes, well, guys, you're not gonna believe this. And you expect him to say this thing fired right up and ran, and he goes, it's not running, you know, like he totally took you down another path, and you're just like, you're rolling, you know, because his delivery is really good.
Well,
But,
yeah, his sayings like, we got to put some new sparkulators in it, and
yeah,
we got to tinker with the fuel making happener.
A
No,
battery.
what I love in it, because it reminds me of myself when he's looking at a car and he's like, okay, and he finds like a big rustle. He's like, he lifts up the carpet, finds a big rustle, and he's just like, no, we'll just pretend we didn't see that. And he just keeps going. I love that shit because that's what I used to do.
Well,
like,
I think
yeah,
that's what roadkill used to be, is like before they got all the big sponsors and stuff. Like, it's the kind of stuff every single one of us grew up doing and still continue to do, like that. Find a project and get it running as cheap as possible and just go have fun. And I think that's what Vice Grip Garage is doing now, because as much as I love roadkill, they've gotten so big, it's not something that the average car guy can necessarily do without all that backing. But Vice Grip Garage, that guy Derek, I think he's taken that that template that was so successful for roadkill in the early years, and he's running with it, because again, he's doing stuff that all of us could make happen on a budget, and we want that truck running and we drive it. That's just the kind of shit I love.
yeah. Well, like I've watched a little bit of Cletus McFarlane, and I mean, I haven't watched him for a long time, so I can't really speak to his channel per se, but it's like he's got an El Camino that's got twin turbos on it, and he's running like 750 in the quarter mile. I mean, it's like insane fast stuff, and it's just like so way above my pay scale, ever being able to accomplish. It's like that guy's definitely not on, no grassroots. I mean, he probably does do some stuff that's grassroots, but the shit I've saw, it's just like, no, I'll never have a twin turbo car running 750s in a quarter mile. I'm pretty positive that's never going to happen,
But you might have a ratty old 68 Charger you traded for a set of cylinder heads and took 8 months to get running in your buddy's driveway,
Yeah, it could happen.
That's why I know Johnny knows about this, but there's a couple Challengers 70 Challengers that I'm looking at locally. One is $2,000 and the other is $1,500. Now the $1,500 one is a JH car, but it was originally a 383 two barrel, and it's stripped. It's a shell, but it's pretty solid. He wants $1,500. The other one is a 70 Challenger RT, supposedly. It appears to have the original 383 in it. It was originally an F8 car, but it is also it needs a floor and a host of other shit. So I'm looking at them both as shells, basically. And the 70 RT is $2,000. Well, it was posted for $10,000 for a long time. And when I saw it for 10, I was like, that ain't a $10,000 car. And I'm the most optimistic project car guy I know. And I'm like, that ain't 10 grand. They chopped the price in half recently, and I just called him. I was training a new driver at work, and he was doing all right. So I was looking online, and I saw the Challenger again, and the price had been cut in half to $5 grand. And I was like, okay. And I called him on a whim, and I said, hey, man, how firm are you on $5 grand? He goes, not firm at all. And I was like, okay. So if I came over to your house with $3,500 cash, would you sell me the car? And he said, I mean, yeah, I'd probably sell it to you for cheaper than that. And I was like, whoa. This has never happened to me before. So I was like, well, how cheap would you sell it to me for? And he tells me you probably buy it for $2 grand. And I was like, holy shit. And it's a real 70 RT. And he says, yes. And so I'm looking at it, it needs floors and shit. But I'm like, 70 RT for $2 grand. Here's the kicker on both cars. Neither of them have titles, and both of them, the dashes are missing, so they don't have VIN numbers on the dash. Right? So
it raises questions.
It raises a ton of questions because both car, well, one car, the $1,500 one, not only is missing the dash, but of course you're going to go, okay, well, there's a Mylar door sticker that has the VIN number on it too. Well, it doesn't have the original door. So I'm like, shit. And this is kind of funny because I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe both cars, or at least one of them, has a plum crazy driver door. And so both cars don't have the original doors. So both Mylar stickers are gone and the VIN numbers are gone. So, of course, naturally, I want to walk away from both of them. But I did some research. And the way it works in Washington, anyway, is you get whatever VIN number you can get, which in this case, it's going to be the stampings. And then basically you're going to have to identify anything on the car that says whether it's a JH or a JS car. And then you can pretty much figure out the rest of the VIN as long as you have the serial number. And if you have that, you can go to the Department of Licensing and find out if there's a record of the previous owner. Well, in Washington, they only keep records for so long. So if the record doesn't exist, then you go to the state patrol and have it inspected. They give you a state issued VIN, which sucks when you think about like the value of a car, but I'm not really looking at it like that. So I just want the car. So I'm like, okay, I go, and there's a chance that if by crazy chance the previous owner comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, I'm looking for this car, you know, obviously when you go to the Department of Licensing, they're going to run the number and see if if the car's stolen, and if it's not, then you're good to go. So you get a 3-year temporary registration, and within that 3 years, if nobody comes forward to claim the car, then you can get a state issued or you can get a title for it. So the other aspect is hold on, Johnny. The other aspect is if there is information of the previous registered owner, then you have to send them a letter, and they have 15 days to respond to take ownership of the car. If they do not respond, then you can go to the Washington State Patrol and have them inspect it and get your 3-year temporary registration, and then apply for the title in 3 years if nobody comes forward. But if they decided they saw the letter, and even if it was after that 15 days, they have that 3-year period. So say on the cusp of the 3rd year, they come forward and that's my car and they want to claim it, they still have to take you to court to claim the car. So who would take you to court and spend all those court fees to get a shell of a car? So yeah. I kind of feel like it's a risk I should be willing to take for a couple grand.
I'll tell you what, dude, I see no downside. Let me give you a different perspective is all.
Okay.
So first of all, with the VIN, figure out the VIN. You got the serial numbers in the drip rail or the channel of the trunk, right? So you got that part of it. Let's say you're able to confirm it is actually a JS car or whatever. So you have a full VIN. If you can get hooked up with a cop that will verify that the VIN of the car is that, you can get a new VIN. Like if you can get it titled to yourself first before you get like a new VIN issued, then just have a new fender tag, or not a fender tag, but a new VIN made. Like I think you can have them made as long as you have proof of ownership of the car.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But with your following that you have, I mean, assuming you have someplace to put the car, I think $1,500, $2,000 you could probably make back through your reels on, you can go out there,
man,
with a cup of coffee, and just look at the quarter panel and in 30 seconds talk about how screwed up it is and how rusty it is or something. And then boom, there's another million videos and make $1,000. And before you know it, you'll make so much money on the car. I mean, I think you'll get your money back. So even if some fool is like, that's my car, it's stolen, I want it back. You're like, come and get it.
Yeah.
It's already made you money. In fact, I'm going to do a video when you're dragging it out of my yard, and that video is going to go viral.
He fucking came back to get his car. Damn it.
Yeah.
I just saw the thumbnail in my head that said, I bought a fucking $2,000 Challenger RT with no VIN numbers on it at all. What the fuck did I do? Right. And I was like, oh, that's perfect clickbait. Perfect clickbait.
Hell yeah, it is. And then that last video when it says, turns out it was stolen, Another clickbait video. No downside, dude. No downside. The only thing is you got to have space to put it.
I'll make fucking space.
Well, that is a point to bring up. It's like how many sub $10,000 Challengers are out there nowadays, and I think it's also important to think about, well, what do you want to do with the cars? Because if it has one of them has the numbers matching 383, are you gonna feel bad if you say tear into it or get rid of the engine and put something else in there so it's not numbers matching anymore? Or do you want the gutted one so you don't got to feel bad about whatever you do to it?
To be honest, I would spend the $500 just to have the clout of it being a real RT. My whole thing was, I keep saying, and I've said it in videos and shit, where I've said you can buy when I was at Mopar's 5150 sale, the sell off in Georgia, I was looking at these cars and a lot of people were talking shit about how overpriced they were or whatever. And I'm looking at some of them and I'm like, a lot of people see an overpriced project car that's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get full. Everybody always leans towards the fully restored thing. So I went with it and I said, well, here's the thing. I could buy this. Say there was a 1970 Plum Crazy Purple RT Charger, and I believe that one was crushed by a tree. And it was like, I want to say it was between 7 and 11 grand. I forget how much, but it was, on the surface, you're like, that's crazy for that car. It's been crushed. It's dead in the water. But in my head, when I see it, I'm like, dude, that is fucking gold on social media for videos and shit. And I keep saying that car would pay for itself in videos over time. So it would just be the initial investment of buying the car. And then if marketed right and clickbaited enough, you can make that money back. And I'm thinking that it might be worth it for me to put my money where my mouth is with one of these challengers and say, all right, I got a $2,000 challenger. Let's see if I can make it pay for itself and build itself. Because the goal originally with the $1,500 one, it's a friend of mine who owns it. And he swears up and down that the previous owner isn't going to come after it. But that story is crazy because he got it from a guy who got it from a friend, and that friend abandoned it with that guy. And that's who my friend bought it from. So I'm like, God, that's kind of their paper trail. What paper trail? There's no paper trail. So I'm like, shit, that's a risky one.
That's going to be a good video, though.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good video. And
If
to
you
be
do
honest with you, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you do one car and it proves to make you money, then you take that money that the first car made you and you go buy the second car and do it again.
Exactly. I was
here's what I'm here. You just said that those other videos just made you $4,000. Why are you not out there buying both of those cars?
I've tried to get a hold of this guy with the RT. He's ghosting me right now. So I'm going to call him tomorrow because I was busy doing podcasts all day today. But I have to go look at the car. And I'm pretty sure it's an RT. There's a couple things I showed Johnny where on the deck lid, he's got the emblems in the wrong place, but he supposedly bought this car like this. And his friend, supposedly, this is the story, they dragged this car out of a trailer park. Owner, according to the guy I talked to, he says the owner's probably dead because it's been in his hands for decades now. And his friend has a 70 RT, and he's just been slowly pillaging this other car for parts. And part of me just wants to fucking go buy it.
You said it didn't have a vent or it didn't have a dash in it, but that car looked like it had a dash in it. It had the dash frame, but the pad was gone.
Yeah, I think the VIN is on the pad in those cars. I think
in those cars. Well, I know
in the
in
e-bodies,
the later e-bodies, like my buddy's got a 73 CUDA, and it's on the actual pad.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought
he bought a new dash pad. Now he's got to buy the little rivets, the correct rivets and everything.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about, Johnny. I think that's only for B bodies. I'm pretty sure. Same with the trunk, the serial number on the trunk. As far as I know, that's only for B bodies. On the E body, the stamping is on the cowl and on the core support. So hopefully the number on the cowl matches the one on the core support, and then I can check the serial number on the engine, and hopefully if it's a numbers car, then that it would make it worthwhile for the $2,000. And the idea would be, okay, I got this car for $2,000. I got it for 3 years and it's still up in the air. But with the engine in it, that's just another will it run video too. I was just I think I might be able to make the money back and prove my theory of the power of social media monetization, and that you can basically have a project car pay for itself in the long run.
Yeah, did you see that video that Birdsong did with the super beater?
I saw him doing donuts in it. I was like, oh, yeah, that looks like fun.
Yeah, get that freaking Challenger running and go do a same video. Freaking no doors on it, and you're sitting on a milk crate or something, just freaking going around corners and stuff.
I made the joke in Georgia when I was looking at the Super B. I think this was the joke. I was talking about being able to have the car pay for itself through social media, and I was like, you could call this like Project Freebie because eventually it'll pay for itself. But I
DD
really
Speed
think the
Shop did
Challenger.
it. DD
Really?
Speed Shop did it. He built one of his first. I think that 57 or something that he gave away
Really?
on his channel.
Wow.
That thing paid for itself.
Yeah.
Well, with the two Challengers, the one that my buddy has, it's pretty solid. It's got some good metal on it, and you know, if AMD's backed up, then it would almost make sense for me to buy the 70 RT, and if I needed metal, go buy the other car too, and just cut that one up. You know,
Buy both cars.
as fucked up as that would be, but if I can get
You
them both for
know,
3,500,
You, that asshole that people are talking shit on for cutting up a Challenger, cutting up a 70 Challenger, and it'll go viral. You guys see that asshole that cut up that Challenger?
You know how to make people really mad is that, you know what Mike Finnegan did? He put a 2JZ in his 68 Charger. So
I could never do that.
oh god, I still haven't gotten around to watching those videos because it's gonna make me cry. I still
I should go buy the
Oh.
Shelby Charger too and put the 2.2 4-cylinder in the fucking Challenger. Make your front wheel drive and really fucking blow the doors off.
There you go.
That's almost worse than the 2JZ because it's front
Oh, it
wheel
is.
now.
It's absolutely worse.
Well, the thing there, see, that's another thing too. I mean, even if you couldn't get a title for one, you've got the Mr. Norm truck that's a driver.
Mhm.
You've got the van that's going to be a driver. You need a race car.
Race car. That thought
The
crossed
race
my
cars
mind
ain't
too.
got to have titles. I don't know
Yeah,
if they have to where you're from, but
they don't unless you want insurance. If you want insurance on the race car, but race car insurance is too expensive anyway. So if you got a race car, it's pretty much a don't crash it.
Well, what you're gonna do is you got to get rid of that junky old half ton and get a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton so you can haul it around.
Hey, I have a vehicle that can tow, and that's my van. Once the
there you
van
go.
is on the road, the fucker's got a hitch on it. Could you imagine towing a shitty fucking ratty Challenger? Because the idea, people always, like I said, they always go to you know how much it would take to restore that car? Do I look like the type of guy that would drive around in a fully restored car? I am in love with shit boxes. I will drive. I just want to get the car on the road. I will throw the shittiest fucking Challenger seats I can find in that thing. I will find the shittiest center console. I'll build it off of nothing but used parts and prove that it can be done. I would like to get it on the road together for less than 10 grand. I think it's possible, and I think I could do it all with social media money if I played my cards right and prove that it can be done. Because a lot of people are doubters and they say it can't be done. I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot.
Well, I don't know, man. These cars ain't getting any cheaper.
They're definitely
not getting any cheaper. I think you found two of the cheapest 70 Challengers on the planet if you found two of them.
After being in Georgia and seeing some of the prices, and I'm not knocking the prices on those cars, they're realistic prices. You know, for the most part. I mean, some people get lucky, Johnny Mopar, but that's also a long time ago. You get prices like that these days. You know, I see it all the time. Oh, I picked up this 69 Charger last year for $4 grand. You know, it's like, okay, those deals don't happen that often, and you were very lucky, so you're fortunate to have that deal. But most of the cars are really expensive. So when I saw these cars for, you know, less than $5 grand, I was like, you know, even with the no title situation, I got scared at first, but the more research I did, the more I was like, okay, I think I feel comfortable buying one of these or both of them.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope my wife doesn't hear this shit because she thinks that I'm fucking backing out. I was like, no.
Well, that's the predicament, you know, of buying Mopars in this day and age. Like with my 66 Coronet, I mean, it's rusty. The floors are pretty much gone. I'm going to need to replace those, and the quarters and the trunk are going to need it. But I didn't have to worry about any of the stuff you're talking about because the VIN's there, the door tag's there, the Certicard's gone. The fender tag is so rusty you can't read it, but it has a title. Like that title's worth all $2,200 to me because I'm not like, oh cool, I have a Mopar. Wait, who owns this thing? You know?
Well, I can tell you that tomorrow morning I'm going to give that guy with the RT a call and go look at the car. Hopefully, if he answers his fucking phone, because I called him earlier this week after I had already negotiated the price for $2 grand. Which that seems fair enough to me. Like I said, I'm buying it for the clout of actually having an RT car. Even though I don't plan on fully restoring it to the point where I'm going to try to make some money off of the car. I want a Challenger RT that's ratty as fuck, built on used parts that I can drive around and have some fun with.
Got a Mad Max it, full Razor Cola Caltrop, twin no door panels, giant 36-inch boggers out back.
See, the thing
I don't know
is,
about
though,
that.
the thing is, though, what you do is you get these two cars, you make a plan on them, you do some work on them, you make some videos, and then next year you fly out to Indy and you'll be able to buy every single piece that you need in one place. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I've been to Indy.
There's a lot of local guys that have some Challenger parts laying around for pennies on the dollar, tail lights, grills, shit like that. I mean, it's not perfect stuff, but I'm not trying to build a perfect car.
Yeah.
I need it to be ratty as shit. So just getting it together on used parts, I think it can be done. I think one of those cars can be on the road running, because I already have the big block for it. For the one that has nothing. The one that has the 383, I guess I'm hoping that it runs, but if it doesn't, I have an engine that I can build for it. So that's the least of my worries.
So you still have that 400 you were going to stick in your dart?
Yeah, my buddy with the machine shop, he came down with cancer, so he basically had to shut his business down. And because it was one of those homie hookup things where it's like, hey, just build it when you got time. Here's the money. I gave him money, shit, and he never got to assembling it. So when he told me that he had cancer and that he was shutting his business down, I said, all right, I'll just take all my stuff. And I went over there and he ended up unloading all the spare big block parts that he had that I could assemble the engine. So basically what I need now, and I do have a set of heads, but I'm going to put aluminum heads on it. But it needs a crank. But I have the pistons, rods. I've got everything to put it together with the exception of the heads that I want to put on it. And the little accessory stuff. But I need a stroker crank for it. So I'm probably going to reach out to 440 Source or something and get that from them. I just have to make sure that, because the block I bought was already board 30 over and it was a freshly machined block for $300. So I got that, and that was going to be the basis of the 451, but it just never panned out. So I have all the parts. So the engine is the least of my worries, and that's cool because I also have a fully rebuilt 727. So I have those pieces. Now it's just putting the car together. So I mean, I can find a cheap set. The most expensive part of the interior that I found so far as used shit goes, is a pair of used bucket seats. Some people want a crazy amount of money for e-body buckets, which is understandable, but yeah. I've seen some decent deals. I'm probably going to be in the seats about $500, but I want to get the best ones that I can within reason for cost. Because like I said, this car is going to be, aside from the metal that absolutely needs to be replaced, like the floor, I'm going to try to build it as cheap as possible if I get the car. I'm hoping I do, but we'll see what happens. I just think it's an opportunity to see if my theory about monetizing social media and YouTube and shit is it can be put to work. We'll see.
A man can dream.
Well, and the thing is, you're not totally useless. You could do a lot of the work yourself,
Fuck, man, I will try. It's a $2,000 car. If I butcher it, it can't be more butchered. So we'll give it a shot.
I mean, hell, I'm just learning the whole welding thing, and I'm just like, screw it, I'm doing it.
Yeah. With things like YouTube, and I have so many people that I know to talk to about advice and shit like that. I'm not scared of it at all. Nothing. Unless it was a full blown restoration. And you're talking about, excellent paint jobs and shit like that. Like, this is the type of car where, fuck, I'll try to paint it. Shit, who cares? Or I'll just leave it a ratty shitbox. I just want to prove that it can be done. If somebody really wanted an old Mopar and you could get one for cheap enough, the initial investment to get you in, and if you started a YouTube channel, because I'm really starting my YouTube from ground zero, and I've proved, because I've only got 200 subscribers, that even though I have 40-something thousand on Facebook, it doesn't transfer over.
No, it doesn't.
It does not.
If I could get my Facebook to transfer over, I'd be happy, because I've got pretty much the same amount on both of them.
Yeah. So my strategy at that point is going to be, all right, only some of the content for this car is going to be on Facebook. The rest is going to be on YouTube, and you're going to have to subscribe to it to find it. So
that would probably work. That might actually work.
Yeah, I'm just tossing around ideas and shit, and I think it'll be fun. Like I said, the clickbait title alone.
What
the fuck am I doing? I bought a car no VIN numbers on it. I'm insane.
I painted my 70 RT Challenger with a paint roller for $100.
Do a Rust-Oleum paint job on it, or
Dude,
I'll just
the
It's
the
endless,
thumbnail will
man.
the thumbnail will be rattle cans painted the Challenger.
Well, see, what you got to do is you got to get a part-time job at a parts store so you get those sweet discounts. I've been working now for about 3 months. I have abused my employee discount. I can tell you that much. I mean, $1,500 worth of parts for like $800. Shit, I'll take it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, man. Whatever you can do. But it'll be fun. We'll see what happens with it. I hope the guy will answer his phone because I asked him just to get me the serial number because, like I said, with the serial number, there's only, a couple options that the full VIN number could be. So if I took the variations of it to the DMV or the licensing office, I'm sure I could figure out if there's a record on it because that serial number, there's only one of those serial numbers, and it's either got to be a JH or a JS car. That I should be able to figure out what the original VIN was. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
now,
but
did they put the? I don't know if they. I know some of the Mopars they put the full VIN on the blocks. I don't know about 70 though.
I think that was pre-69, right, Johnny? I'm not.
I think I've seen it on 69s. I'm not sure about 70s.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about 68 because 68's weird. The VIN number's on the back of the block where the bell housing attaches. So, and then 67 and older, depending on who you ask, it sounds like they don't have VIN numbers on them, but I've heard people say they do. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure on the 70. I think it was one of those things. It depends. The guy that was sitting there on the assembly line stamping them, what he put on there, which factory it was going through,
I believe on 70 it'll be the serial number, and I forget if it's B0 or BO before the serial number, but based on those, you can figure out what the full VIN was. That's the only way. That's the only reason those cars would be even worth it, unless you were going to build a full-blown race car. The only way they'd be even worth it to even try to get titles for. So that's what I'm kind of counting on. But like I said, there's only so many different. With that serial number, it can only be 2 different cars because it's not a convertible and it's not it's not an SE. So it's got to be a JH or a JS 23 car. So we'll figure it out. But I hope the guy answers because
yeah.
I'm wondering if he was like, "Fuck, why did I tell him $2,000 after he told me 3,500?" Because I thought 3,500 if it was a real RT car, even if I had to go get the title and shit after 3 years, I thought it would still be worth it. But when he told me $2,000, I was like, "Oh fuck, it's on now." Because I'm just looking at it like, "Fuck, I just made that money off of an 85 Charger video. If I didn't do that stupid reel, I wouldn't have that money anyway." So it's basically, I mean, I know it's a decent amount of money, but it's like it's kind of free money in a way. So. Yeah. I feel like it's worth the gamble.
Right. Guys, I got to cut out.
Me too. I think we're going to shut this thing down.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah. Oh, I was looking for something to do, and I saw you were on. I wish I'd have come on earlier.
I debated whether or not I was going to do it. Like I said earlier, when I first started the live stream, I was going to. I've got the intake manifold and the new carb to put on the van, and I was going to do that. And I looked at it. I got down into the garage, and I looked at it, and I was like, got to take the alternator out, got to drain the coolant. And I was like, I got to pull all this shit off. I was like, and I know I'm not going to get all that shit installed on it tonight because I'm going to fucking lose steam at about midnight. I was like, nah, I'd rather just knock it all out in one shot. So I'm going to try getting after it tomorrow or during the week. We'll see what happens. But I think that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for joining us. Cool. We'll have to do it again as usual. No Mopar left behind. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us on the Saturday Night Live. Oh, what am I thinking? Johnny, where can people find your stuff?
On YouTube, Johnny Mopar. On Instagram, Johnny Mopar with no space between the Johnny and the Mopar. And then Johnny Mopar's Garage on Facebook.
Johnny is falling asleep. Thank you for joining us, Johnny.
No. Yeah.
Trevor, do you got any social media you want to promote, or you just Trevor?
You know what? Why the hell not? I have a Facebook that is mostly what I use for social media. I got nothing to hide, so just look up Trevor Thomas on Facebook. And I also have an Instagram called Dunebog, DUNEBOG, where if enough people follow me, I guess I'll post all the crazy shit I like to do, you know?
And Trevor is crazy, so definitely go follow him.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate you having me on and listening to me ramble, you know?
Anytime,
Like
buddy.
I said, it's hard being a Mopar guy and a Sea Chevy and Ford people.
It is, definitely. Brian, Dust Devil Garage, tell us where they can find you.
Dust Devil Garage on YouTube, Dust Devil Garage on Facebook, and I'd never promote my Instagram, but yeah, I've got Dust Devil Garage Instagram too.
Awesome, and you guys
And
know
soon
me.
to
I'm
come
Chris Albrecht.
OnlyFans.
Hey, I got an account on OnlyVans, so there's that. And I'm obviously Chris Albrecht. This is Talking Mopars. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. No Mopar.